What is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
All right, I'm back. I am back. It's been a long time, folks. It's been a long time. It's good to see everybody. We already got Rosie, JJ, Rumbum. Good to see you guys. How long was it? It's been like 9 days or something like that. I did manage to put out a couple of videos while I was away, right at the beginning and then right at the very end, from a hotel room. But yeah, I was busy. I was busy. I needed that break. I needed that vacation because I was exhausted, and I'm back now, and I'm more exhausted. It was a good trip, really good trip. Had a really great time. Really needed it. It was very, very busy. A ton of driving involved, but great times. All right. Now, I did get to, just before I started the stream, I did get to everybody's, or an hour or so ago. I don't. Anyway, I did get to your guys' messages on X. All the different stuff you sent to me. So you can look forward to seeing all of that. Sometimes I forget. I did not this time. All right. So it looks like JJ got the first like. Now, everybody knows that when you get the first like on a Radio Baloney live stream, you get double good karma. So, of course, everybody gets good karma when they like the stream or when they subscribe to the channel. Everybody gets good karma, but you get double good karma when you're the first. And that's because right now we're on YouTube, we're on Rumble, we're on Locals, we're on X. You could get 8 good karmas if you got the first like on all of those. I mean, that's a pretty great deal. Pretty great deal. In these troubled times, are you going to turn your back on that? I wouldn't do it. Anyway, congratulations on that first like, JJ. All right, Rosie, how you doing? I missed everybody too, but now we're back. We're back in business and complaining loudly. Let's see. Rumbum says, man, can we just be part of the states already? I guess eventually. I guess, if we keep voting in liberals, I mean, it's inevitable, right? Let's see. I prefer Canada just to actually be like, I don't know, the country I grew up in again. That would be nice. But it seems like, there's enough Canadians that are determined to vote us into the toilet, into failed state status. Let's see. Dramus, how you doing, Dramus? Good to see you. Nice fish, he says. Nice fish. That's what we all think. Beautiful fish. Let me check something. Hold on a second. There we go. I need to adjust my headphone volume. All right. Let's see. Nevada says, welcome back, Richie. Well, welcome back to everybody. Glad you had a fun one. Yeah, it was a really good trip. Very busy. Very busy. I was actually exhausted by the time I got home. Just a lot of driving around and stuff. Let's see. Rumbub says, except Ontario and Quebec, they can basically be the state's version of Australia from back in the day. Well, Quebec would never join the states. I don't know about Ontario. I mean, look, here's the thing. The states doesn't actually want Canada. Like, certainly Republicans would never want Canada because it'd just be like having a giant San Francisco to the north and then like having voting, maybe like some sort of like protectorate status or something like that. Maybe like Puerto Rico or something. Uh-oh. Rosie says, doing great. Kind of said you were starting off with a Yankees fan. We are Red Sox fans at our house. I didn't even notice that somehow. Somehow I don't know how this happened, how I overlooked this. I did not even notice her hat somehow. I don't know how. I don't know why. That's so unlike me. Let's see. All right. You know what? Let's get into quickly. We'll just go over the menu, what we're going to be covering tonight, and then we'll get back to the chat. So first off, yeah, so New York is determined to go full commie with this commie. And he is just a straight up commie. I think social democrat. Oh, social democrat or democratic socialist, whatever they're calling themselves now. They're all just commies. There's not a single commie thing you could suggest to them that they won't like, right? Social housing. They love that. Every single, I mean, we're going to go through his platform and it's all just commie shit. Freeze the rent. It turns out actually that the whole freezing the rent thing, the real plan behind that is to just end up buying all of the properties cheap so they can be for communism, just straight up for communism. We'll go through his platform and I did put out a video on this guy actually while I was away. I put out one video, but it wasn't exhaustive. We're really going to go through it tonight. Anyway, we're going to talk about all of that. There's just so much commie stuff. And I guess New York is going to become the Cuba of the United States. Don't they say that Florida is the United States of the United States now? I think somebody said that. I don't know. We got a lot to talk about with that guy, though. Straight up commie. We are going to talk about Mark Carney. Mark Carney, who says he knows how the world works. And apparently he doesn't. He keeps telling us he knows how the world works, but he doesn't because he had to very publicly and in the most humiliating fashion bend the knee to Trump on the digital services tax, which was idiotic. It's an old Trudeau policy. Idiotic. It should have been thrown out immediately. The Canadian liberals, they call themselves liberals, are actually illiberal radical progressives. But they're saying, well, this is just part of the negotiation. Really? Being publicly humiliated for no reason is part of the negotiation? He tells us he knows how the world works. Does he? We've got some more Canada stuff here. We've got Danielle Smith, who I think is maybe the best leader in Canada, period, actually. She's a premier. She's the premier of Alberta, but she's really fantastic. Of course, she gets attacked relentlessly. We are going to take a look at, what was this one here? Oh, yes, more Carney stuff. Carney's bizarre fixation with calling Canadians European. And this makes no sense. And I think he wants us to be part of the EU somehow. I'm not sure the EU even wants us, though, at this point. We've got a bunch of memes here, a bunch of memes that you guys sent in. We're going to be taking a look at these. They're fantastic. Everybody's going to be really happy. It's a nice bit of catharsis for us in the middle of the stream. Now, USAID was announced to be closed back in March, but now it's been officially closed. And whatever parts they're going to continue to do are just moved on to the State Department, which will be something that we'll have to, have an eye kept on. But yeah, so officially USAID, which was, originated, it was conceived as a CIA front organization for regime change around the world. We're going to take a look. We're going to go down memory lane and take a look at some of the things and a bunch of the things actually that American taxpayer money was being wasted on with USAID. Is wasted even the wrong word? Just things done in their name that they don't approve of. Let's see. So woke Canada. So here's Pride Parade in Toronto. Of course, there's lots of nudity. There's people dressed up in their doggy things, being degenerate in front of Christians because that's fun. And yeah, I don't know. What is this now? What is it now? It's not, this isn't like in the 70s and the 80s where it was like a bunch of guys in suits like dress shirts that, wanted gay marriages or just didn't want the cops to like burst into their bar and like beat them up and arrest them. This is something else entirely. I don't know. I don't even know what this has to do with, like, where is the pride exactly? Proud of what exactly? I don't know. This doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But it's Canada, and there's lots of woke Canada stuff in here. Oh God, here's our new head of health in Canada. This lady here, definitely not a DEI hire. Definitely not woke mind virus. What's going on here? Pride parade followed closely by disinfectant parade. We've got some crazy people in here, and that's good fun. We always like to do the woke mind virus because it's scary and weird and frustrating and it makes you angry, but it's also hilarious. Let's go to the last tab of the evening. What are we going to look at? This is always just a big mix-up of stuff. We usually got some comedy in here, so it looks like, hold on one second. University of Pennsylvania has agreed to only allow females to play on women's sports teams. So this large man will not be able to compete against women and steal their awards anymore, which is kind of good. What would you do? What would you place in the raised area? What would you place in this raised area here? This would be the place where I go up and lecture and shout about politics to just anybody who comes into my house. We've got some comedy. We've got all kinds. There's like a crazy bird feeding lady here. That's kind of nutty. And just lots of random stuff. This crazy face lady. What's going on there? More comedy. You get the point. It's a bunch of mashed up, mixed up. This is the island of misfit posts. And it's good. It is good. All right, let's get back to the chat. Then we'll get started on the show. What the hell is going on here? I know nobody's going to see this stream on YouTube because it's got the word communist in the title. Do you know that the word commie is like a sensitive word on YouTube? They don't like you using the word commie. That's offensive. Don't you know that's offensive? That would offend communists, calling them commie. It's a very sensitive word. They're very protective of the commies for some reason. I guess there are still many, many, many purple-haired gremlins working at these big tech companies. Let's see. All right, let's get to the chat here. Radio streamer, how you doing? Welcome back to the place where you started out. Welcome back. That same old place that we laughed about. I don't know. I can't remember the words. Something like that. Anyway, how you doing, streamer? Let's see. Radio streamer saying I'm a very low energy. 3 days on 2 hours of sleep. Gonna sleep tonight, but what will I do until then? I don't know. I mean, that's a pretty powerful tiredness there. That's a pretty powerful fatigue. I mean, I would say have some coffee, have some espresso. If that doesn't work, maybe smoke some crack, maybe have some crystal meth. That doesn't work. I don't know. You could maybe try chewing on some sort of like animal adrenaline gland. No, not a human one. I think that's too far. But some sort of animal, maybe a bear adrenaline gland or something like that. If that doesn't work, I mean, I'm completely at a loss. I can't imagine what could give you the kind of energy that you would need to.
They, them, energy. They, them, energy. They, them, energy. They, them, energy.
Oh, that sweet, sweet they, them energy. That sweet, sweet they, them energy. And it's a Tuesday, so we're allowed to do they, them energy on Tuesdays. So good, though. So good. So good. I hope everybody feels that. Oh, you know what we have to do now? Sorry, I completely forgot. Okay, hold on one second. Because we had some negotiations. There were some negotiations between myself and the viewership, the subscribers of this channel. And seems like pretty much half love the They Them Energy clip because they find it as hilarious as I do. But then there's half that despises it and hates it, and it makes them angry. So, and so there's a negotiation that at least one of the people that hates it and is angry says that if we show They Them Energy, then we have to show chocolate. So because that's just the thing now. Let's take a look. There you go, Rosie. Is that chocolate orange? Now that is fantastic. Those are Terry's chocolate oranges on top there. That is fantastic stuff. Very nice. Anyway, I have fulfilled my my obligations. Let's go back here to the fishing thing again. All right, let's move on. Let's see. All right. Done. JJ Nevada says there is actually a Democrat Communist Party. Hillary Clinton is a proud member since before she was First Lady of Arkansas. It's all just leading towards communism, isn't it? I mean, Rumbum says the left's cope over the DST, the Digital Services Tax in Canada, is insane. Well, it's just an amazing amount of cope, right? And now it does show you that, for one thing, the vast majority of people who voted for Carney have no idea any of it was happening in the first place, right? But the ones who do pay at least some attention, they're really proving that they have no principles whatsoever, right? They were so proud to vote for elbows up Carney, who was going to stand up to Donald Trump. And the fact that it's basically just been one long ritual humiliation with Mark Carney bending the knee constantly and praising Trump every time they see each other and they're on camera together, none of this phases them at all. This is just all brilliant strategy to them. Brilliant strategy. Nothing will convince them otherwise. Absolutely nothing. Let's see. Nevada says USAID just total fraud. Yep. MHJ, good to see ya. She was the number 3rd like on the stream. That, you know what? I'm going to be generous. Number 2 gets 1.5 good karma, and number 3 gets 1.25 good karma tonight because I'm generous. Let's see. All right. Should we all right, should we just get to it? Let's just get to it. All right, so this is very likely to be I think overwhelmingly likely to be the next mayor of New York City, Zoran Mamdani, who is just a straight up communist. Sorry, I mean democratic socialist. We all know he's a commie. We will slowly buy up the housing on the private market and convert properties into communes. Communes, he says. Can we call him a communist now? I think we can. I want to show you something, though, quickly from a woman in New York City. This was posted by Wall Street Apes. New York voting for Zoran Mamdani as mayor is voting for more of this. So Zoran Mamdani has won the Democrat primary, so he'll be running for the Democrat Party in the mayoral race. Now, Cuomo is going to run as an independent. Maybe there's some chance that he wins. Not that he's great. I just don't think he's a straight-up commie. I don't think he's as crazy as Mamdani. I think he's terrible. Don't get me wrong. I think he's terrible. What he did to seniors, sending them into the sending COVID positive people into seniors' homes. That was awful. What he did during COVID was terrible, and he's a monster, but I don't think that he's a full-on communist, which, I mean, if this guy wins, it's just the end of New York. You might as well just anybody should just escape from New York at that point. But here is this woman just had to take multiple trains in Manhattan because men keep following her. Okay, let's listen to this. So New York isn't doing great right now.
I don't even know what to say at this point. I had to get off the train past my stop because there was a guy who was following me from car to car. And when I tried to get off at my stop, which was pitch dark, he held it open to see if I was going to get off. So I had to get off the stop after. And then when I got off the stop after, I hopped on the next train that was going the other direction. And I got on an express train. And now I'm back on the other side of the tracks. Hold on. New York City is not safe.
Well, turns out she doesn't need to worry because, hold on one second. She doesn't need to worry because Zoran Mamdani is going to start the Department of Community Safety. So no worries. Like through this new city agency and hold on one second. Let me make this a little bigger so everybody can see it properly. All right. So again, she doesn't have to worry. Zoran Mamdani is going to have the Department of Community Safety, and through this new city agency and whole of government approach, community safety will be prioritized like never before in New York City. So I guess they're gonna hire a bunch more cops and stuff, and they'll get rid of the bail stuff and the no cash bail stuff. And no, actually none of that. The department will invest in citywide mental health programs and crisis response, including deploying dedicated outreach workers in 100 subway stations. Yeah, I'm not sure that's really going to fix it. The social workers probably aren't going to be able to have much of an impact, as much as they can try to reason with the voices in the people's heads. It's probably not going to work, and they'll probably just end up being victims of violent crime anyway. So there you go. It's all just so predictable, is it not? Outreach workers, so social workers for subway stations. They're probably actually there to protect the crazy people anyway, because that seems to be the way that it works. Let's take a look. Let's see. Mamdani is unapologetic about language in his plan that would tax whiter neighborhoods at higher rates. It's not driven by race, though, he assures everybody. I'm just naming things as they are. It's definitely not driven by race, which is why he put it right in his plan. Let's see. Shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer and whiter neighborhoods. So they wrote whiter neighborhoods because it's definitely not about race.
And realize there's a policy proposal that says your plan, and I'm going to quote it for folks, is to shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer and whiter neighborhoods. Explain why you are bringing race into your tax proposal.
That is just a description of what we see right now. It's not driven by race. It's more of an assessment of what neighborhoods are being undertaxed versus overtaxed. We've seen time and again that this is a property tax system that is inequitable. It's one that actually
inequitable. So he talks about class consciousness, but it's not just class consciousness. Modern Marxism is identity consciousness. So maybe there's some class consciousness in there as well, but it's really identity consciousness. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't just an oversight that he has whiter neighborhoods in there in his own platform, written in his own platform. That's not an oversight. That's very intentional. It's very that that is appealing to the identitarian race consciousness of modern Marxists. It's not an accident. It's not a misunderstanding. It's very intentional. He wants everybody to know he's going after Whitey. And actually, let's just go through his platform here. All right. So is he a communist? Is Zoran Mamdani a communist? Let's see. It says New York is too expensive. Zoran will lower costs and make life easier. I'm sure that'll be super easy. Let's see. Freeze the rent. Why does he want to freeze the rent, I wonder? Why does he want to freeze rents? Because, there are unintended consequences that can come from that. It's not just a matter of, well, you just freeze them and then they can never go up and everybody's happy forever and nothing could ever go wrong. Well, a lot of the housing is all financed, right? There's a billion taxes involved. There's regulations that cost money. You've got to there's money, tons of money for maintenance. There's got to be more coming in than going out or else the whole thing doesn't work. And he's anticipated that. He knows exactly what he's doing. Zoran Mamdani, we will slowly buy up the housing on the private market and convert properties into communes. That sounds like an awful commie thing to say. Commune is a kind of commie word, isn't it?
Go further toward the Vienna model. We'll have to go beyond the market. We can establish community land trusts to gradually buy up housing on the private market and convert it to community ownership. We can give tenants a right of first refusal to buy out their landlords when buildings go up for sale. And we can fully commit to a new era of social housing, ending subsidies for luxury housing development and using our wealth to build beautiful, high-quality social housing projects that offer good homes and strong communities to everyone. We won't decommodify housing overnight, but we know what we have to do, and we have history to guide us. Go further toward the Vienna.
History to guide us, he says. Doesn't the United States have a history with government housing, with social housing, and it's just ended up turning into slums everywhere? I think so, right? He talks about the Vienna model. Let's take a look.
Go further toward the Vienna model.
The Vienna model. Okay, hold on a second. I had something for this. Now where is it? Oh, God damn it. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'm off my game. I've been off for too long. All right, I'll be 1 second. Okay, here we go. All right. All right. So, Vienna model. So, from the city Vienna. And this is a socialist housing plan, essentially. Approximately 21,000 households are on the waiting list for social housing, reflecting supply constraints. Wait times can stretch for years, particularly for desirable units. Wiener, his name is Wiener Wohan, Wiener, or is it Wiener? Wiener Wohan. I call him Wiener Wohan or Vohan or whatever. I'm not Austrian. I don't care. The city's housing management company oversees a vast stock. Oh, it's a company. Oversees a vast stock of 220,000 municipal and 200,000 subsidized units. Residents report delays in repairs, such as broken locks or lighting, which can lead to safety concerns. Well, this sort of thing tends to happen when bureaucracies are involved, and it's really nobody's actual responsibility. The model relies on significant subsidies, with Vienna spending over 400 million euros annually on housing funded partly by a federal housing tax. Critics argue this level of public investment is approaching insolvency or is unsustainable without adjustments, do you think it could reach the level of insolvency in New York with a commie mayor? I bet you it could. The rise of public-private partnerships, as seen in developments like Seestadt Eschborn, has sparked debate. Some see this as a dilution of the traditional model, diverting public funds to private developers under the Vienna model labor. Let's see. Eligibility for social housing requires 2 years of Vienna residency, which disadvantages newcomers, including migrants and refugees. This, combined with policies like the Wein bonus favoring Austrian citizens, has been criticized for perpetuating exclusionary practices. So they've got certain safeguards in place, even though it sounds like it's actually not going well and is leading to massive problems, especially financially, because the whole, somebody has to pay for it. But it seems like some of the safeguards they have to use there so that the whole thing isn't totally swamped is that requiring 2 years of Vienna residency, so you can't just show up and get in one. Do you think Zoran is going to tell, because again, sanctuary city, right? Think he's going to tell migrants and refugees who got to New York City 5 seconds ago that no, you have to be there for 2 years? Think he's going to put any limits on? It's for them. It's for them. The government housing that Carney wants to build in Canada, that's not going to be for Canadians. That's going to be for the people who just got here 5 minutes ago. Of course, Zoran is not going to have. It's easy to see how a total lack of discipline will make this whole thing collapse very quickly and make everything worse for everybody. Let's see. Did I have anything else? All right. So there's major problems with this, right? And the United States is just not, it's not designed, it wasn't designed to be a socialist country, and it just doesn't work. Doesn't work with the American spirit. Let's move back. All right, let's move on. What else have we got with this guy? The end goal is seizing the means of production. Are we allowed to call him a communist yet? Best of luck, New York City is from A.G. Hamilton. Let's take a look at this.
What the purpose is about this entire project, it's not simply to raise class consciousness, but to win socialism. And obviously raising class consciousness is a critical part of that. But making sure that we have candidates that both understand that and are willing to put that forward at every which moment that they have, at every which opportunity that they're given. We have to continue to elect more socialists. And we have to ensure that we are unapologetic about our socialism. There are also other issues that we firmly believe in, whether it's BDS, right? Or whether it's the end goal of seizing the means of production.
The end goal of seizing the means of production. Some people say that socialism is just the road to communism. The end goal of socialism is communism. Let's see. What did he say there again? Hold on one second.
We are unapologetic about our socialism. There are also other issues that we firmly believe in, whether it's BDS, right? Or whether it's the end goal of seizing the means of production.
The end goal of seizing the means of production. The man's a communist. Everybody denying this, open your eyes. The mainstream media is trying to pretend that he's not a communist. He's clearly a communist. I mean, seizing the means of production, people living in communes, it sounds exactly like communism. That's exactly what a dirty, filthy commie would say. And let me add to that. Shut up, commie. Commie gets nothing. Although, sadly, it looks like commie is likely to get something in New York. I mean, he's going to get his goal of wrecking New York far beyond what I think people can even imagine. I mean, there's a flight out of New York City that's very well known, right? That's nothing compared. I mean, he's going to move it towards escape from New York. He's going to have to build a wall around New York to keep people in it, because that's what commies do. They have to do it because people flee once they realize they've been tricked. In fact, I want to check something here. Hold on. I want to check something quickly. I want to do a quick fact check. Hold on. I should probably press the button. Fact check. Let's see. All right, so we got stuff. Let's see. Al Jazeera. Fact check, is Zoran Mamdani a communist? Huh. Let's see. No, Donald Trump's claim that New York City mayoral candidate's platform is akin to communism is false, experts say. Oh, well, experts said it. So I guess he's not a communist then, because some expert, that word expert, I'm pretty sure it don't mean what it used to. Let's see. No, Donald Trump's claim that New York City mayoral candidate's platform is akin to communism is false. Is false. Hold on a second.
It's BDS, right? Or whether it's the end goal of seizing the means of production.
Yet nothing commie about seizing the means of production. Nothing commie about that at all. Let's see. All right. Anyway, let's just move on. Oh, yeah. Zoran Mamdani says as mayor, he would take action to have police removed specifically from high crime areas. Let's take a look.
Do you think that we have to almost do without policing in certain areas which are labeled as being high crimes to have alternative bodies? Do the policing in a more compassionate, more merciful, more social.
More compassionate, more merciful. She's talking about, I don't know, murderers, rapists. You know, this is always the same in communist countries, by the way. The criminals are protected and the citizenry are in constant terror, and that's by design.
Assisting and helping more than arresting and putting in jail.
I absolutely think that what we need to do is give support and funding to institutions that are trained to deal with these kinds of issues. Mm-hmm. As you said, if you're having an argument with someone and there's a risk of it escalating, who is better positioned to de-escalate it? Someone who is well known in the community, or someone who has been trained specifically in de-escalation?
Mm-hmm. Or maybe you can't de-escalate it. Maybe some people can't be de-escalated, right? That's kind of what you need the police for.
Or a stranger who has a gun. And we see so many situations where encounters with police, the police arrive and all of a sudden the tension rises even astronomically to what it was prior. Right. And I think that we need to say and ask ourselves, look at how policing is done in the suburbs, in wealthier, whiter America. When people make mistakes, the answer is not to...
Thing is, if you're in the suburbs and you point a gun at a cop, you're getting shot. The same as anywhere else. The same as absolutely anywhere else. Obviously, high crime areas need police more than anywhere else because there's more crime. Social workers aren't going to do it. Criminals don't care. They're going to laugh at that. And all that's going to happen is you're going to get a bunch of social workers assaulted or killed. So I guess that's equity, though. I think there'd be a major shortage of social workers. I think a social worker would go out on one call and that would be it. Change of career. Zoran Mamdani on why he wants to empty jails. Violence is an artificial construct. I said this in my video I made the other day. Mike Tyson once said, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. Well, this is like violence is an artificial construct until you get punched in the face or stabbed or shot or whatever. So I think we've established at this point that this guy is, well, let's hear it from one more time.
Where we do not have the same level of support at this very moment. And what I want to say that we firmly believe in, whether it's BDS, right, or whether it's the end goal of seizing the means of production.
The end goal of seizing the means of production is something that a communist says, and nobody else says that. The fact that you would say that means that you are a dedicated communist. You can be nothing else. That's not a democratic socialist. Although they're all just commies. I mean, the end goal of socialism is communism, right? If you talk to your typical socialist and you say, well, I think maybe we should just go ahead and seize the means of production or something, they're going to agree with you. But this guy's outright saying it himself. You can't say that and not be a full-blown communist. There's just no way. So I think that, unfortunately for New York City, they've made some really bad choices for mayor. Really bad choices. And it's just going to get worse. All right. I wanted to show you something. Okay, so let's go through his platform here quickly before we leave. So freeze the rent, build affordable housing, crack down on bad landlords. Well, I mean, sure, if there are, landlords breaking the law, you should crack down on that. Ending deed theft. Hey, you don't want to have your house stolen from you, your property stolen from you, but let's keep going. City-owned grocery stores. That's extremely commie. That's bread lines. Fast, fare-free buses. That's just communism. Of course, fighting corporate exploitation. That's just boilerplate stuff. No cost childcare. It's just gimme. So it's just a typical communist gimme platform. Gimme. Baby baskets for New York's newborns. I mean, what they're trying to do is actually attract as many poor people as possible that will be as dependent on him as possible. Let's see. Of course, taxing corporations on the 1%, boilerplate stuff, green schools for a healthier New York. What does that even mean? Let's take a look at that. Fighting the climate crisis and improving quality of life are not separate issues, but are deeply entwined. Well, it is hot in summer, so you've got to do something about that. Let's see. Zoran's Green Schools for a Healthier New York City will renovate 500 public schools with renewable energy infrastructure and HVAC upgrades, transform 500 asphalt schoolyards into vibrant green spaces, create 15,000 union jobs, and build resilience hubs in 50 schools that provide resources and safe spaces during emergencies. I don't see how any of that's going to change the world's climate, for one thing. But again, we're going to spend money. Here's 15,000 union jobs. It's always the same thing. How are you going to pay for it? Well, whatever. Tax evil corporations and rich people, because there could be no unintended consequences for that. Of course, the LGBTQIA plus pretensions. He's an Islamist, by the way. So when he manages to enact Sharia law in New York City, that part of the platform's probably going out the window. Let's see. Healthcare. I'm sure this is for non-citizens and people in the country illegally. Let's see. Oh, yeah, raising the minimum wage to $30. Why not just make it $300? What could go wrong? I'm sure he understands economics very well. Let's see, maybe it's to, like, drive, like, all the businesses out of business so that everything can just be central planned government. I honestly, he is a communist, so that is the end goal, so I'm not even saying that facetiously. Let's see, Trump proofing New York City, Trump proofing. Trump, because Donald Trump is tearing at the fabric of New York City in his second term. He has deployed ICE agents to pluck New Yorkers from their families. Let's see. So he's talking about people in the United States illegally. So breaking United States federal law. He has sent already sky high, or he has sent already high prices. He has sent already high prices skyrocketing with tariffs. Has he? Has he done that though? Because let's take a look here. So here we have United States inflation rate. Let's see. So there it is there, May 2.4. Yeah, pretty low. Pretty low. Big improvement. Right? So there's January. He got in January 20th. You saw it decrease February, down 2.4, 2.3, the lowest since in a year. In May, a little up by 0.1% in May, but all very good. So I don't think it's Trump that's causing the prices to skyrocket. I think it might be the people running New York City. I mean, if you're talking about housing, for instance, let's see. He has threatened vital social services that working New Yorkers rely on every day. Has he? Which ones, really? Is he, or is it just he wants to not give government money to people that are in the United States illegally? Let's see. Getting ICE out of all city facilities and ending any cooperation. So basically, the United States laws mean nothing. We're just our own country now, and we're our own woke commie country now. Let's see. He'll make New York City an LGBTQIA plus sanctuary city and protect reproductive rights. Do they need so I guess the sanctuary part is that so if somebody wants to have medical experiments done on their like 5-year-old, right? They can do it in New York City. If somebody wants to take their 12-year-old or their 13-year-old to be mutilated and poisoned with toxic chemicals in New York City, it's not a problem. He's going to make sure that they can go ahead and do that. And by the way, as an Islamist, right, as soon as he institutes Sharia law for, I guess, some sort of Islamo-communism or something, yeah, all that LGBTQ stuff will be out the window immediately. So there you have it. Dirty, filthy commie about to take over, soon to take over New York City. I wish them the best of luck. All right. Let's get back to the chat. We're already 50 minutes into this one. Wow. Well, this would be a great time to suggest that if you're watching right now and you're not subscribed to the channel, you go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It's super important. Also, liking the stream. Have you liked the stream yet? Everybody else is doing it. You should do it right now. You get free good karma. Come on. Also, subscribing to the channel, you also get free good karma for that. In these troubled times, can you afford to turn your back on that? I don't think so. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't take the chance. I'm not saying that your life depends on it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying. Also, if you want to support the channel, the best way to support the channel is to get a monthly membership and or gift monthly memberships to other people. That is really an awesome way to help the channel, and it's a certain way to get awarded with, I think, maybe one of the most precious things you can that you can get on the internet, which is this. All right, let's get to the chat. Let's see. Nevada says, what do you want to bet China is supporting him? Mamdani? Yeah, I'm absolutely certain. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they support him in some way? Nevada said, ship this asshole to North Korea. There are communist countries he can live in, is the thing. Rumbum says that Trump did say people were saying he might be illegal, so maybe you'll all get lucky. Well, if there was some sort of lie regarding his immigration status, because he was not born in the United States, do you really need commies? At some point, Western civilization has to assert itself. The mass immigration has caused a problem with liberal democracy, right? With a constitutional republic or parliamentary democracy, whatever system you have. But the kind of Western systems, in that essentially tolerant systems where people have free speech, where people have individual rights. If it's overwhelmed by people who just don't have those same values, well, eventually free speech will be gone. There won't be any individual rights. And it's just a completely different place. It's not the same country anymore, right? It's just a piece of land with different people with different ideas on it now. Let's see. Turtle says, how you doing, Turtles? Bread lines are coming. And trust fund, baby. Yes, that's my understanding, is that he doesn't come from poverty. Usually they don't. Usually they're fairly privileged people, these commies. Let's see. Rosie says, what is his deal with classism, racism? If anyone identity politics him, I bet he get called a racist. Well, he talks about class struggle, and but really it's identity. It's like they've gone from class to race, essentially, an identity, and there's kind of class mixed in as well. So class consciousness, but it's really race consciousness, identity consciousness. Let's see. Turtle says he's playing the trans card for the vote. Yes, that's exactly what he's doing. Turtle says, have you seen his rap videos? Okay, I'm going to take a look at the last bit of this chat here. Then we're going to find some of that. Let's see. Turtle says, my state rep wants to open up federal land to homeless, revoke his naturalized citizenship. I want to find out if I did hear something about him having a rap career. All right, we're going to have to see if we can find this. Hold on. In fact, I better do this. Fact check. All right, hold on one second. All right, ma'am, Danny, rap video. All right, let's take a look. Yeah, his mom. Okay, yeah, his mom directed his rap videos for him, which was she was in the entertainment industry somehow. What the heck is this? Good Lord. Oh man, this is going to be terrible.
Go ahead, make
make a rap for your nanny. It's a rap. Get the guap, spin the rack on your nanny. Spin the rack. Come through, give a dab to your nanny. If you're really feeling good, spin a track for your nanny. Go ahead, make a rap for your nanny. It's a rap. Get the guap, spin the rack on your nanny. Spin the rack. Come through, give a dab to your nanny. If you're really feeling good, spin a track for your nanny.
They'll do a rap for your nanny? Is this a joke? Like, is this supposed to be comedy? I feel like this is supposed to be comedy or something, but probably not. I mean, he is a commie, so he's not that bright. That's just, if this is serious, that this is, I mean, unbelievably embarrassing. Are there any other of his videos? Hold on. Let's see if we can find some more. Good Lord, that is appallingly bad. Let's see. From Canary Mission, in an unearthed rap song, New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani praised 5 convicted terror funders. Oh, the 5 funneled $12 million to Hamas. Mamdani sent his love to them. The track, released in 2017, also called to tear down the U.S. border wall. So, Kami makes a terrible rap. Let's take a look.
In 2017, Zohran Mamdani released a rap track that praised 5 convicted Hamas funders known as the Holy Land 5. Now he wants to run New York? Mamdani says, look him up. So we did. These 5 men were convicted of funneling over $12 million to Hamas, a U.S. designated terrorist organization responsible for the murder, rape, and kidnapping of civilians, including Americans. Mamdani sent his love to convicted Hamas funders. Let that sink in. Mamdani says, no wall will make it fall. That's an open door for criminals and chaos. Zohran Mamdani stands with convicted terrorist funders and wants open borders. This is New York City, not a sanctuary for terrorists. Zohran Mamdani, unfit, un-American, unthinkable.
Oh, New York must be mad. They must have lost their minds. Let's see. Zohran Little Mohammed Mamdani dropped this rap just a year before becoming a U.S. citizen. That's very interesting. In it, he said he loves... Okay, so we've already seen that one. There's his weird food truck one. What's this here?
In 2017, Zohran...
All right, we already saw that. So, yeah, he's an Islamo-communist, terrible rapper. What's this one here? Footage of Zohran Mamdani singing and dancing in a music video with Lupita Nyong'o has surfaced online. Okay, let's take a look. Cringe. Super cringe. So he is an Islamo-communist rapper. Boy, oh boy. Okay, so, okay, that's just, it never, like, what is the next thing with him? It just never gets any better, does it? All right. Well, what the heck are you gonna do? I don't know. I think New York has lost its collective mind. I'll tell you what hasn't, though. I'll tell you what hasn't lost its mind. I'll tell you right now. Oh, for God's sakes. Let me try it one more time. Nope, it's not letting me do it. I'm trying to read an ad for you guys. A beautiful, beautiful ad, and it's not letting me do it. All right, how about this one? Nope. How about this one? It is not letting me read an ad for some reason. I don't know. I'll try again later. For some reason, it's a major problem. All right, no big deal. Whatever. Whatever. I don't care. I'm not angry. I'm not fuming inside. I'm not furious right now. All right, let's move on to the next thing. So, Canada. From Brian Lilly. On Friday, the Carney Liberals told the Trump administration they would not delay the digital services tax for 30 days while trade negotiations proceeded. So Trump canceled further trade talks. After 10 p.m. Sunday night Ottawa time, the government announced the DST would be paused. So this is that the much celebrated negotiation skills of Mark Carney. So hold on a second. Listen to this, though.
My strength is I know how the world works. I know how to get things done. I'm connected. I can deliver for the country. And my weak.
Hold on. What do you say?
My strength is I know how the world works. I know how to get things done.
After 10 p.m. Sunday night Ottawa time, the government announced the DST would be paused. So it kind of feels like he doesn't know how the world works. Because why would you give yourself this own goal, this unintentional black eye? Like, why would you give yourself this unnecessary black eye, this very public humiliation, if you know how the world works? He certainly doesn't know how Donald Trump works. Nothing could be more clear, right? So the digital services tax was a tax on not the profits of large tech companies, like social media companies, Amazon, whatever, just online businesses. It was a tax not on the profits, but on the revenue, 3% on the revenue of these companies. Like all the money they bring in before taxes, before the net amount, before the profit. And obviously this wasn't going to go over well. The Biden administration hated this, right? Because this was a Trudeau policy. Republican Democrats alike hated this in the United States. That was no secret, right? Was this supposed to be some sort of leverage against Trump? Because it didn't work. It very predictably didn't work because we don't have the same leverage over the United States that the United States has over us. So these silly little games don't mean anything. They can only result in humiliation. So they'd been talking to the Canadian government behind the scenes. In fact, let's listen to this.
Well, we spoke with the Prime Minister about this at the G7 meeting last week. We urged them to delay, they were setting a multi-billion-dollar tax bill to our big high-tech companies on the 30th of June. And we said, delay it for 30 days while we're negotiating, and they refused to. And the digital service tax is an extraterritorial, really, almost criminal act, right? Mm-hmm. They're taxing American companies who don't necessarily even have a presence in Canada. Mm-hmm. And so, and it's a 3% of revenue tax, not profits, revenue. Well, we spoke.
So Canada is extremely dependent on the United States economy, right? And of course it is, because it's the largest economy in the world. We're right next door. We're actually incredibly fortunate to have this position, right? How many countries around the world would love to switch places? All of them. You've got the biggest economy in the world right there. You make that work. The Carney government knew this was not going to fly in the United States. And they knew that because even Biden was dead set against it. Democrat, Republican, it was a bipartisan issue in the United States, right? They didn't like this. They didn't want this. What happened here was entirely predictable. Right? Trump says, well, all trade negotiations are off because of this thing, because of this digital services tax. What did Carney say again? I'm sorry, what did Carney say again? Let's listen to that one more time.
My strength is I know how the world works. I know how to get things.
No, you don't. You don't know how the world works. You don't know how to get things done clearly. I mean, how could you have misread? How could he have misread Trump this badly? It's just baffling. I mean, the most predictable thing in the world would be Trump would say, well, if you're not getting rid of this, the negotiations are over, and obviously we can outlast you. So you're just going to have to deal with that. How could Carney not foresee himself getting this very public black eye, getting this humiliation, not only for himself, but for the entire country. This should have been done. The DST should have been canceled before it became before he turned Canada into and himself into an international laughingstock. Right? It is the right thing to stop the DST. It was stupid. It was ill-conceived. I mean, it was from Trudeau, for God's sakes, right? But why subject yourself to the public humiliation? I mean, that's really what it comes down to, right? After all of the elbows up and...
My strength is I know how the world works. I know how to get things done.
You don't know. You see, you don't. That's the thing. Now, there's a lot of cope from liberals in Canada. Of course, none of them are actual liberals. The Liberal Party in Canada is not a liberal party. It's an illiberal, radical leftist party now, and so are the people that vote for it. But they're all going into deep cope mode about, well, this is just negotiations. Right? This is just, actually, it's a brilliant strategic move. This is just tactics. Really? Being publicly, internationally humiliated is a tactic? Really? It seems like a fairly poor tactic. This is something that if he really understood how the world works, he could have anticipated. It's just, I think Carney's actually, I mean, this is astonishing to say, I think he's actually even more embarrassing than Trudeau was. I think that Mark Carney is a real smart tard. He's supposed to be smart, but he's actually a tard. Carney is ending the nonsensical digital services tax after U.S. President Trump canceled all ongoing negotiations with Canada because of it. Trump wins again. Yeah, here's the official release. I don't know. How much did Canadians really want to pay 3% more for Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever? Not that much. Love My Sevenwood said, of course Canada rescinded the tax. It was a stupid tax dreamt up by Trudeau, unbelievably supported by Carney, and stupidly defended by Freeland. So, I mean, what it's really about is a growing desperation to extract as much money as possible for the terrible, ill-conceived plans of the Liberal Party generally, right? The national debt was doubled under Justin Trudeau. That debt is becoming a serious problem in Canada, right? We're now paying more just to service the interest on the debt that is sent out in transfer payments for health care to the provinces every month, right? So the debt is becoming a problem. Now, of course, Mark Carney, we know, even though he hasn't put out a budget, refuses to put out a budget, he did say, well, it's summer break. I mean, we can't be expected to put out a budget when it's summer break. I mean, hey, it's summer, come on. But we do know that he's going to be increasing the deficit. So that means growing the national debt more. He's going to become more and more desperate to extract every penny from anywhere he can get it. Of course, most of it will just come from Canadians. If you don't think there's going to be a home equity tax coming, you're out of your mind. They're going to try anyway. So again, it's just another embarrassment. This is the elbows up. This is the elbows up that all those liberals voted for. Elbows up was an idiotic lowest common denominator ploy. Lowest common denominator plea appeal to ignorant and gullible voters. And that's all it was. He knows that we need to have a deal with the United States. He knows that we're going to have to give concessions. Why go through with the ridiculous charade of the pretending to be tough, pretending to have leverage that he doesn't have? It's just dumb, and he had to back down immediately. Carney risking Canadian jobs in showdown with Trump over foolish digital services tax. It doesn't get better, unfortunately, and it won't until the Liberals are out, all of them. Let's see. How about this? Parliamentary budget officer urges Carney to show numbers as spending rises. Let's take a look. This is actually republished from Bloomberg News. Canada's budget watchdog urged Prime Minister Mark Carney to release an update on the federal government's finances soon or risk eroding the government's credibility with investors. Carney is promising to spend billions on infrastructure, military equipment, housing, and transportation, part of his ambitious agenda to boost the potential of the Canadian economy. Those plans, combined with slow economic growth, are causing economists to forecast a larger federal deficit this fiscal year, which we just cannot afford, especially not on a bunch of green boondoggles, to subsidize a bunch of green boondoggles. But the Prime Minister has put off the federal budget until October, citing the trade war and the shortened spring sitting of Parliament because of an election. Normally, budget documents are brought to the legislature in March or April. Again, he says he knows how to get things done. Apparently not budgets. I mean, this is just one of the most basic things, right? Of course, he could have put something together. There's a reason that he's not. And the reason that he's not is because he knows the Canadians will see it and go, oh no, we made a big mistake. All right, let's move on. So I want to show this. This is from Jasmine Lane. The Premier of Alberta, Danielle Smith, on being called a traitor and the Liberals' incessant comments which damage our relationship with the USA even more. Now, I think that she has actually been the best Canadian leader through all of this since Trump became president. And I think by far, she's the only one who's really acted like an adult, as if she had the best interest of Albertans at heart. Like, no grandstanding. She's always just very civil. She's always very calm and I think very leader-like. She has a stoicism and she doesn't get off track. I think she's very, very strong. I think she'd actually be a great leader of the federal Conservative Party. Not that I think Pierre Poilievre is very good. I think she'd also be great. Let's take a look.
It's not the approach I take. I believe in diplomacy when we're dealing with international partners. I mean, every time you approach a foreign...
She's talking about, the elbows up idiocy, the lowest common denominator, elbows up idiocy. Let's continue.
Government, one of the things you're looking for is to try to find common ground on policy as well as on trade issues. I mean, I think people forget that free trade agreements are not for the governments that sign them. It's for the businesses who are going to operate under the rules so that they can trade with each other. And so that's what we're focused on trying to do is to improve all of those relationships. And I believe in all of the above. I think we should maintain our strong ties with the United States. We should build out new markets to Asia. We should try to build out new markets to Europe as well. But the federal government has been extremely disappointing in that regard. I had no choice but to take a more active role when nation after nation after nation kept coming to Canada and meeting with the Prime Minister, and he kept saying, no, I'm sorry, there's no business case for us to sell you LNG or any more of these of this vital energy that you need. I guess it sucks to be you that you have to rely on Russia or Iran or other hostile nations. Too bad. I mean, I think that was a very self-defeating, self-sabotaging position that our former government took.
While Mark Carney and Doug Ford and Eby in British Columbia were making just idiotic threats that they couldn't back up regarding the United States, she was down. She was down in the United States meeting, administration officials, forging relationships. I think she did more than any other Canadian leader during that. to kind of settle things down. She had the most productive role out of any of them. And the rest of Canada, or at least Eastern Canada anyway, hates her for it. Hates her for it, calls her a traitor, for being responsible, for doing what a leader who's not about their ego, who's actually about their constituents, about their best interest. For doing that, she's been called a traitor by imbeciles, by elbows up imbeciles who did their elbows up chicken dance in front of the TV because Rosemary Barton told them to. That's who calls her a traitor. The state of Canada, people. The absolute state of Canada. Shannon Stubbs, Conservative MP for Lakeland. All right. What has she got to say here? Carney says, elbows up, but it's Canadians who get hit. Let's see.
So the U.S. is now the top exporter in the world of LNG. Canada should have been ahead of them and a key partner for North American energy and national security. But the Liberals held Canada back with a distinctly elbows down approach, except to Canadians, right? They sure gave us 1 or 2 or 10. The Prime Minister says it's elbows up against the United States, but year after year after year, these same Liberals handed the Americans trillions of dollars from Canada on a silver platter. The U.S. must remain Canada's top ally with safe borders and integrated security. And they are our top ally, but there's no doubt that because of these Liberals, the U.S. is also our top competitor, a result of damaging Canadian domestic policy. Now, Conservatives have always been the consistent advocates for certainty, clarity, competitive, and fast approvals to make Canada strong, self-reliant, and united. So the U.S. is now...
See, that's sanity right there. This is all... The United States, we're right next to it. It's the world's largest economy. In terms of national defense, we are basically defenseless, right? We rely on the United States, our economy, just our own, our national integrity relies on the United States. We're under their protection, right? This is sane. This is a rational adult way of looking at things, not the idiotic fake nationalism from people who told us 5 minutes earlier that Canada's not even a real country. It's some post-national thing with no core identity. We might as well be just whatever somebody shows up 15 minutes from now is. Right? The perpetual genocide state. We're not even really a country, and even if we are, we're a perpetual genocide country anyway, and illegitimate, and we have to do totally meaningless and false land acknowledgements before anybody gets up in front of a crowd of more than 2 people. So yeah, I wasn't buying the elbows up stuff. The elbows were for Canadians. That's what it was for. Right in the chops. Anyway, let's continue. Let's see. The BuckQL, the current state of affairs in Canada, from Mario Zelaya. We have a transport minister who doesn't even own a car, an immigration minister who can't say how many people are in the country illegally. I've showed you these videos. A housing minister who oversaw a 200% increase in housing prices and blamed investors, then quietly flipped his own investment property. A public safety minister who doesn't understand firearm classifications, but still signs off on bans and had to recuse himself over a conflict of interest to a designated terror group. That's right. The guy who's in charge of the terrorism file has to recuse himself because of connections to terrorist groups. A minister of innovation and AI who, as a CBC journalist with zero experience in tech or AI, but lots of experience selling art to Mark Carney. That's right. That's Evan Solomon. He was fired from CBC for a conflict of interest because he was selling art to Mark Carney on the side, but also interviewing him. A prime minister who led 2 central banks but can't put together a budget because it's summer. But no, Orange Man bad, elbows up. Hey, Canada. This is a man who's barely spent any time in his adult life in Canada. I believe his wife and child live in New York City. He's more an American or European than he is a Canadian. He is here to extract every penny of Canada's wealth for himself and his friends. That's why he's in Canada now. All right, let's move on. Let's see. Oh, yeah, hold on. Let me just update this. Where is it? Oh, hold on. All right, from Ryan Garrettson. Watch Mark Carney not answer the question regarding if Canadians will see tax increases to cover his excessive spending. He gives one of his characteristic eye rolls in this as well. This is why we're not getting a budget, by the way. This is why we're not. He knows what's happening. He knows Canadians, or enough Canadians to be a problem in the polls, at least. Not that that matters right now, but enough Canadians will notice that he's putting us into serious financial distress. Let's take a look.
Thank you. My other question, I'll try and be fast, is
that's question 4.
About the commitment to hundreds of billions of dollars cumulatively you've made today. The parliamentary budget officer told us that implies higher deficits unless you either raise taxes or cut major projects, social spending. So do you agree with him? And if so, how high a net debt to GDP ratio are you willing to run?
We will grow this economy. We'll grow this economy. We'll balance our operational budget.
Well, that solves it. That answers the question. He's got to grow the economy. So great. He's got to balance the operational budget. Let's listen to this.
Grow this economy. We'll grow this economy. We'll balance our operational budget in 3 years. That's our commitment. But we will.
So, and I'm sure 99% of Carney voters are totally unaware of this, right? But he says he's going to balance the budget by not counting a bunch of the spending. That is literally his plan, right? So it says the operational budget, the budget just to keep the government running and all the bureaucracy running. So that's now the budget. Now, all of what he calls the investing, right? Investments, which is, for instance, we could take a look at the Trudeau's, $50 billion on EV factories and EV battery plants and cricket farms. These are the kinds of investments that he's talking about. Of course, that was all done on Mark Carney's advice. Obviously, Mark Carney had been advising his protege, Justin Trudeau, since 2020. So these are the kind of investments that he's talking about. Now, that $50 billion, there's nothing to show for it now. These are the kind of investments he's talking about, and he's not counting that in the budget. He split it to operational budget and investments. Now, the investments are still the budget, right? There's still money that's going to have to be, most of it, borrowed and interest paid on it. But he's just splitting it into investments and expecting Canadians to just buy it. I mean, it's insane. It's insanely childish and retarded. It's idiotic. Yet, I mean, I guess he didn't overestimate the Canadian voting public. He didn't overestimate Liberal and former NDP voters because he got elected. But it's all the budget, right? The operational budget and the investments are all the budget. This is all money that's going out. Regardless if he just has this ridiculous artificial division between the two. This is a new thing that he's doing. This is a new lie from the Liberal Party.
Also invest in this country, including in our defense industry. Thank you. This country being Canada, not Netherlands.
Yeah, Yeah, I think everybody got that, Mark. I think everybody got that. When you see this, I mean, it's just an outright lie. I mean, operational budget and investment as being two different things is just an outright lie. It's all part of the same budget. It always has been, right? This is just a really kind of inane, frankly, little artificial division that he's making there, as if, I mean, it's not something you can hide forever. Sure, he tricked enough people in the last election, but eventually it's going to come to light that, okay, we do have to account for that money as well, the investment, especially when they end up coming to nothing, just as the investments Trudeau made on Mark Carney's advice. Or maybe Carney just ordered him to. I don't know. I'm not sure what their relationship was like exactly. But this is why there's no budget. You want to know why there's no budget? This is why. Let's see. Chris Erickson says Mark Carney is an installed World Economic Forum agent of destruction. So Carney openly says he wants to build a new world order. He also doubles down on Canada being the most European of the non-European countries. What a disaster we are in. All right. Canada is not a sovereign nation. We are a test subject. Canada is not a sovereign nation. We are a test subject for these whack jobs. Well, I was saying all through the campaign, Canada is going to become a globalist laboratory with Mark Carney. Mark Carney, the self-described elitist globalist, right? This, technocrat central banker. A man who has barely spent any of his adult life in Canada, right? He has no allegiance to Canada. Clearly, I think he probably has less allegiance to Canada than he does to the EU anyway. So, of course, he likes what they're doing in Europe, right? He likes all the green boondoggles. He likes the censorship. He likes the authoritarianism. Of course, he wants Canada to be more like the European Union.
So we're meeting now in that context in, as you just said, in hard times. We might say even a hinge moment of history, a world that's more dangerous and divided, a time where the rules-based international, the global order, rules-based global order is under threat, in a time when technological change is accelerating. And we really have two choices.
How about one choice? How about we live right next door to the biggest economy in the world, okay? Which is an incredibly enviable position to be in. In fact, that's why Canada has been so much wealthier than European countries over the last half of a century. Have you been to Europe? They don't live the same in Europe, okay? They are poorer there in Europe. Okay, they don't have big suburbs. People don't have even an expectation to live in a house. People live in big block apartment buildings. That's where people live. Families live in them, and that's the expectation, right? If you've been to Europe, if you spend time in Europe, they are poorer. At least they used to be. They used to be poor. No, Europe is not the way. Europe is a basket case right now that's falling apart. The EU is falling apart. Okay, the biggest economy in Europe has been Germany for decades. They're rapidly deindustrializing themselves at the moment. Europe is not the model for Canada. Europe is a warning, right? We're already too much like Europe if we're talking about immigration and censorship. No, thank you. We're right next door to the biggest economy in the world. Right? It's an incredibly enviable position to be in. Just deal with that, please. Please, no more of this EU nonsense.
As a country in this circumstance, we can nostalgically look back and long for the old order to somehow return, or we can build a new one with purpose.
Somehow return. Just get a trade deal. How about that? Just get a trade deal. Do the sane thing, not the globalist thing, not the thing that's going to, make you popular at the next World Economic Forum meeting. right? Or at a dinner party with your central banker friends. How about just do the actual thing that will benefit Canadians? How about that?
And partnership. And as the most European of the non-European countries, Canada looks first to the European Union to build a better world. And that's what.
As the most European of the non-European nations. Well, I thought this article had made some good points from the National Post from Chris Selly. Carney's bizarre fixation with calling us European makes no sense. Not being American doesn't make us Parisian, he says. Well, that's an excellent point. On Monday, Prime Minister Mark Carney said, not for the first time, that Canada is, quote, the most European of non-European countries. I want to be less European, by the way. He said it in May, too, in France, and Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly said it as well in an interview with BBC. So it's obviously a deliberate talking point. What's weird about it is that Carney and Joly offer no explanation. They just say it as if it's an established fact that all Canadians accept, which they obviously would not. Yes, I don't accept that. I've been to Europe, and it's very different than Canada. Indeed, I suspect what most people heard when Carney said most European was yet another variation on not American. Not American is the bedrock not American is the bedrock of Canadian nationalism, and never more so, in my lifetime at least, than during the age of President Donald Trump. Yes, there's an inferiority complex in Canada, which is really stupid because we're more like the United States than any other place. Washington is a uniquely tricky partner, but the fact is, Canada is far more like the U.S. than it is like anywhere else. We mostly eat the same fast food. We mostly watch the same television, Quebec being an exception. Our downtowns and suburbs look mostly like their downtowns and suburbs. Our infrastructure deficits are both enormous. Many Europeans, while discerning differences between Canada and the U.S., simply refer to the two together as America. Yes, we are much more like the United States than we are Europe. Yes, we have socialized medicine here, but the United States also has a lot of socialized medicine as well. The military medical infrastructure is huge, but you've got stuff like Medicare and Medicaid as well in the United States. So the United States actually has an enormous amount of social programs and social benefits, which countries like Canada and Europe like to pretend don't actually exist. But they do nonetheless. But my point is, I don't want to be European, Mark Carney. I don't want to live like a European. That sucks. It's way worse. Europe is way worse than Canada. Canada is way more like the United States, and I like it that way. And if you want to talk about gun laws, I mean, there's different levels of restrictions in different states in the United States. There's, New York and Florida, politically, socially, are about as different as two countries can be, frankly. So, yeah, no, I'm happy with Europe being an ocean away. Thank you very much. All right. Next, we'll get on to memes, but first we will do some, let's see, we've got a different video here. How about tennis? Let's get back to the chat for a minute. And let's see if I can actually do an ad this time. What are we going on here? Let's go. Let's do this. It's going to let me do it. Here we go. Still haven't tried 1775 coffee? Now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped. Only 1,000 units. That is what I call exclusive. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits harder than a CNN fact check. Not sure I really get that line. The smooth medium roast and the Vitality Mushroom Coffee for clean energy and laser focus. No crash, no communism. All single origin, small batch, toxin free, and mold free. I'm glad because mold is gross. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. Everybody knows that. A frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's political opinions. I bet you those are terrible. And a black 1775 tumbler that says, I don't take life advice or caffeine from a woke sea witch. $170 worth of coffee and gear, yours for, I can't believe it, only $99, my friends. That's less than $100. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, and blow up it has, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler alert, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio. You're going to need that code studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. With only 1,000, you know they're going fast. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something, just like Rumble does. We're talking about free speech here, folks. Let's not get confused. Start your day with coffee that actually backs what you believe. Yeah, it's not commie coffee. I'll just put it that way. There we go. Finally an ad after like 10 long days. Let's see. What are you guys saying in the chat? What the hell's going on? Subscribe to the channel, like the stream, become a member of the channel, and gift memberships to other people because it's important. Let's see. Turtle says, freak flag flying in Toronto, shit ton of naked freaks. Oh, Canada, indeed. Rosie says, know how to get things done, but are they things anybody wants done? No, only globalists want it done. Only people who want to wreck their country, their future, and their children's futures want those things done. Hopefully he can't even get those things done. I mean, that's my hope. Turtle says the big, beautiful bill passed, but there's a discussion about the 1.4 million illegals need to be on Medicare. Not even mention Musk trying to create a third party. Shut up and sit down. Well, the big, beautiful bill passed the Senate. Now it's got to go through the House, right? Let's see. I'm not reading the U word. I'm not reading that. Let's see. All right, let's skip to the end here. JJ Nevada says Canada's in North America, not Europe. Not Europe. I know one European leader said, yeah, the EU is the last time he checked, Canada wasn't in Europe, which is a great point. Rosie says, bold, dark, no crash, no commies, great growls, 10 days off, you still got it. 1776 out of 10. I do believe that's the most out of 10 you can get. Looks like big windy gusts in Nevada. All right. I guess we'll keep going. How about memes? What's going on here? I spent half an hour trying to talk to them, wanting to learn about their culture, until the bartender told me they were patio umbrellas and cut me off. How would you know, though? How would you know? What's going on here? I hope Iran doesn't try to destroy our top secret nuclear facility, pictured here in the top left corner. Oh, that's LinkedIn. Does anybody even use that anymore? Isn't it just totally useless? I don't know. Let's see. What's this? Mr. Bob Dobalina. How effective is the vaccine? So there's Fauci. He's being asked, how effective is the vaccine? He says 100%. Then he says 96% as he runs away. Jumps out a window. He says 84%. He's running across the field, 42%. And then just, it's AIDS. It's AIDS. Everybody's going to die. Because that's what Fauci sounds like. It's AIDS. Let's see. When you go out and someone's wearing the same outfit as you. That dog is pissed. It's funny. It's very funny. Let's see. Living in your head is no longer rent-free. There'll be a 30% tariff on that. Let's see. So daylight savings is not a bank. No, Sandy. No, Sandy. It's not a bank. She's not so bright, that one. Let's see. Public school makes you gay. What's 2 + 2? Penis, vaginas, boobs, and stuff. This is a thing now. Like when you take a kid to the first day of school, you got to go in the classroom and like make sure that it's not just a weird big like pride communism class indoctrination center. It's really insane, actually. I'm convinced that if my generation was faced with a zombie apocalypse, there would be zombie rights activists. Yes, there would be. Yes, there would be. Let's see. Meanwhile, somewhere in dimwit Democrat airspace, 3.5 more years. I bet she's still reeing. She really became, that was at the inauguration in 2017. I bet you she's still reeing, and she's just become iconic. I still use that picture in thumbnails sometimes. Like, she's just going to be that forever, right? There's a few that are like that. There was the Jigglypuff, although I haven't seen her around much recently. But yeah, she's really that kind of won that competition of who could be the longest lasting meme. She'll never go away. I think in like, that face will be on t-shirts in like 200 years. Let's see. Guess how many bombs I'm sending your way? How many? All of them. I think we saw that one, the last one before I went away. 50 cosmetic surgeries to look like Angelina Jolie. Nailed it. Nailed it. I don't know, that could actually be Angelina Jolie now. I don't know. Crazy though. Totally crazy. So, back in March, it was announced that USAID was being shut down, but now it's actually being officially shut down. So some of the things it was doing are just being moved to the State Department. But now it has been USAID, which was originally conceived as a CIA front group whose purpose was, overthrowing foreign governments. It's actually been shut down now. So, Rubio, USAID closed after decades of funding posh lifestyles of countless NGO execs. USAID viewed its constituency as the United Nations, multinational NGOs, and the broader global community, not the U.S. taxpayers. So, Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced the end of the independent agency on Tuesday. Rubio said USAID funds would be better managed and more effective under State Department oversight than they have been in decades. So some of its purpose still exists, but USAID as an organization is now done. Quote, USAID had decades and a near infinite taxpayer budget to advance American influence, promote economic development worldwide, and allow billions to stand on their own 2 feet. This Rubio wrote this in a statement. Beyond creating a globe-spanning NGO industrial complex, at taxpayer expense, USAID has little to show since the end of the Cold War. And Will there be a large investigation to find out about kickbacks, so money going to some NGO to fund some lavish lifestyle for some executive at that NGO, and then funds coming back into the campaign funds of various politicians? Will there be some sort of investigation into that? Is there one ongoing right now? I don't know. It sounds like there probably should be. Seems really ripe for corruption. Especially when you have these NGOs, which, you know, you have these NGOs which are a career, right? So people can pay themselves a lot of money to spread, I don't know, feminist agriculture in Sri Lanka or something like that, or gender neutral demining. Trudeau sent $4 million over to the Ukraine for that, or just pronoun, promoting neo pronouns in the Congo or something. But let's take a look at what some of that. Let's go down memory lane and take a look at what some of the money, the billions and billions and billions of dollars, was going to. Well, here, Elon Musk posted this. Soros leveraged tens of billions of dollars of government funding domestically and abroad. So Mila Joy posted this. So far, it's been determined that George Soros received $260 million from USAID. He didn't spend his own money to destroy the American justice system. He used ours. Well, because George Soros has been funding insane DAs, insane woke communist DAs in places like San Francisco and Chicago and Philadelphia for a long time now. Apparently with the explicit goal of just wrecking the United States, just creating chaos and dysfunction and destabilization. So he shouldn't get taxpayer money, right? Let's see. From Chris Pavlovsky, USAID funding corporate media is the biggest scandal of 2025. In essence, the Biden administration was paying the media through USAID to attack the likes of Rumble and X, advocate for censorship, and install their own government in the USA by attacking the opposition party. And I'm sure that the chat is going to remind me of the Smith-Mundt Act that was changed under Barack Obama. This was an act that banned the United States government from propagandizing its own population through things like Voice of America, people using articles from things like the Voice of America to then propagandize the American public. And yeah, they'd be right to remind me of that. Let's see. Mostly Peaceful Meme says, was I the only person not getting USAID money? From the New York Post. USAID reportedly bankrolled Al-Qaeda terrorist college tuition. Unearthed record show. Wow. What's the point in that? $70,000 in our tax dollars were paid for this. The DEI musical in Ireland, Americans paid $70,000 for. USAID paid $70,000 for a pro-DEI musical.
It's true, but everyone's just about as racist as you.
What would you spend $70,000 on? That? I don't think so. Chelsea Clinton's organization got $85 million in USAID money. I'm not going to say anything else because I don't want to disappear. Let's see. Elon Musk, yep. Not a single one of these a-holes is screaming about the corrupt misuse of our tax dollars at USAID. They loved it. Let's see. Well, look who had his chubby fingers in the USAID cookie jar. It seems like the purpose of USAID was to actually just wreck the United States at the end there. From Elon Musk, USAID pressured advertisers to boycott any media that was not left-wing. from Mike Benz. Now, I want you to listen to me very closely. When the CEO of USAID's Internews pressured advertisers to create exclusion lists to only fund approved news sources, she was carrying out USAID's formal policy goal to have USAID partners do advertising outreach to redirect funding. So this was to basically try and extort companies from advertising with like X, Rumble, free speech platforms, or platforms not totally under control of, at the time, the Biden administration, for instance. At the World Economic Forum, of course, at the World Economic Forum 2024, Bourgault called for exclusion lists to pressure advertisers into funding only approved news sources, a move designed to silence dissent and control narratives. So, yeah, it's all pretty bad, isn't it? From Dave Rubin, it's not just that they funded Politico, New York Times, etc., but then the articles in those publications were used as sources all over CNN, NBC News, etc., to further push their agenda. It's all just total deep state villainy, isn't it? Rumble was put in an advertiser exclusion list. Let's see. All right. Well, I think that's probably enough. All right. Let's go back to the chat for a second. Subscribe to the channel. Also like the stream. Super important. Everybody do that. Do that immediately. Also become a channel member and gift memberships to everybody as well. Just do it. Just do it. Unless you're easily influenced, then don't. But do. Mickey says, how you doing, Mickey? So there you go. I left Canada because of Trugina. They call him Trugina. He's a man, but he's also a vagina. It's not nice. Not nice. Let's see. Rosie, patio umbrellas. Yes, patio umbrellas. I'm running low on energy. You guys, I don't know what I'm going to do. Mickey says, I know so many people who took the shot that can barely walk or have cancer or dementia, and if you mention the jab, they shut down. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe long-term trials were actually a good idea. Wasn't it weird? Didn't you find it really strange? Like how anybody didn't end up red-pilled through that whole experience is just totally beyond me. Such like the incoherence of it was just so obvious and transparent. You had things like there was the question of long-term trials, right? So long-term trials would be at least 4 or 5 years. Often they go as long as 7, 8, 9, 10 years. But for vaccines, it's a years-long process, right? If in 2019 somebody had says, you know what, gone on CNN or something and said, you know what, I don't think we need these long-term trials. I think we just make them and then just give them to people. Give them to like everybody in the world. Just make some medicine. Just give it to everybody in the world. We don't need long-term trials for this. That was stupid all along. People would have said that person was crazy and would have said, everybody on CNN or MSNBC would have said, what, are you out of your mind? That's ridiculous. What are you, like some paid pharma shill or something? Everybody would have said that. Everybody just accepted and understood that long-term trials, medical trials, are important because you want to see how people are doing with them after years, right? And then all of a sudden, if anybody said, well, okay, these things haven't had long-term trials. The mRNA vaccines, they haven't had long-term trials. I mean, doesn't that seem kind of dangerous to just immediately give them to all the people of the world? You were crazy suddenly. I mean, if that wasn't enough to red pill you, I mean, there is literally nothing that could. So you've got something as basic and as accepted and as reasonable and just obviously rational as long-term trials on new medicines, especially like new technology, which the mRNA vaccines were. Something is just so obviously reasonable and rational as that, all of a sudden becoming you're a crazy person if you suggest that in any way that we may not know the long-term effects of these things, or or the immediate effects when they're used en masse. I mean, that should have been like an earth-shattering moment. That should have been the real red pill moment for just literally every sane person. Well, what do you mean you don't need that? What do you mean I'm crazy because I'm insisting that you have this thing that has always been there and everybody is always seen as being obviously totally appropriate. Overnight, I'm a crazy person for just saying, let's just keep doing what we were doing for obvious reasons that everybody can see. Even the person who's reading the lies off the teleprompter knows this is a perfectly reasonable statement. How could anybody just continue to believe the teleprompters after that? How could anybody just accept somebody being promoted to them as an expert and not take everything they say with at least a giant grain of salt after that? Just think about that for a second. Something is just widely accepted as long-term trials. Like, where a year earlier, if you suggested you didn't need them, you could have a new technology, a new medical technology, a new medicine, a new vaccine, whatever, and just give it to the entire world without fully testing it, without subjecting it to the rigors of long-term trials. You would have been called a crazy person and that would have been called totally irresponsible. And perhaps a crime against humanity. And just overnight, nope, you're crazy for saying that now. No, we've never needed long-term testing. In fact, let's just not even talk about it. No, you're just crazy. But yesterday, we all accepted this as something totally necessary. No, we're not going to talk about it. You're just crazy. You're a conspiracy theorist. That was 100% of the media. 100%. Just think about that for a second. Like, you want to talk about alternate reality stuff. Like, how you could not wake up. How anybody could still just credulously listen to what comes off the teleprompter. After that, I don't know. And there's been about 50 of those since 2020. Actually, going back to 2016, really. And if with our newfound awareness, you could just keep going back further than that. You go back to the WMDs, right? You can go back to the New York Times with what was her name, Judith Miller. You can just keep going back and back. If you want to talk to the New York Times, you can go back to the the Stalin apologetics, going back to the 20s and 30s. But anyway, my point being that I don't know how anybody could have failed to have become red-pilled after that. It's just astonishing to me. Because it was just obviously lies. And on such a large scale and such immensely consequential lies. I got to see what you guys are saying about this, because I still am baffled by it. Like, doesn't it seem unbelievable that so many people would just buy that, or just not think, or it just wouldn't occur to them? There would be something in their mind that says, well, wait a second. I mean, this stuff just came out and isn't there supposed to be long-term trials on this? And like, how do we know that there's not something, there's not some unintended consequence of doing this? I don't know, it's just weird, right? I mean, it's definitely, I guess it could be a black pill moment where you just go, well, humanity is just too stupid. The good times that we've had, in the post-war years are definitely coming to an end because people are just too stupid to continue it, to know what's in their own best interest. I don't know. Anyway, let's see. Nevada says, I took some cough syrup for my allergies because the allergy pills were not cutting it. Now I don't have an appetite. Uh-oh. And let's see. Rosie says, yes, same in East Tennessee. So much sudden extreme diagnoses or recurrences, just silence. Yeah. Too many people are complicit in it. Nevada says, I'm in a rock club, about 600 adults. Many died or have serious problems. Mickey says, 2 of my neighbors did MAID, medical assistance in dying. Well, that's what they're offering now for people with the, bad reactions. MAID, I think, was at fairly transparently. I mean, nobody argues with if you are terminally ill, there is no hope. You're in horrible pain. Nobody's arguing with that, right? Okay. But when you expand it out to, depression or drug addiction, as justifications, you're just trying to get rid of people at that point. You're just trying to get people out of the system. And that's what they're trying to do with that, people with complications from the jabs. They're kind of in the way. They are very inconvenient. And yeah, of course, a liberal government would rather just literally kill them, just get them out of the way. Mickey says, I'm Canadian, but hardly ever go there anymore, living in Mexico. Well, maybe that's something to try out. Rosie says, purpose was to wreck the U.S. and line pockets. I think you're talking about the USAID there, I think. And yeah, you're right. Rosie says, you must hate your grandma if you won't get jabbed. Yeah, that's what they were saying. So manipulative and just gross. Let's see. Turtle says, AOC is from Yorktown. Sad girl from the Bronx. Sandy. You mean Sandy, right? Yeah, I've seen her house that she grew up in like the suburbs of New York. And like, yeah, she grew up in like a nice neighborhood. Turtles asked, was it the WHO, the World Health Organization, that wants to vaccinate 500 million children by 2030, sponsored by Gates? I don't know. It sounds like the sort of thing they want to do. I'm not against all vaccinations, by the way. But the mRNA ones were new. And even the, there were problems even with the, the traditional ones. But I don't know. Maybe it's something I need to look into a bit closer. There is more stuff coming out. I believe RFK has been having some revelations on some hidden information, some hidden studies. So that's something I do need to look into a bit more. I haven't while I was away, I was really busy. I was not immersed in the news. Rosie says the coercion was the most insidious. The government required it and exempted themselves. Yeah. The coercion was just insane. I mean, it really did feel like a test. Like, how much can we put these people through? They'll accept it and do what they're told. All right. So we've done the USAID. So what's going on here? From Juno News, Sue Ann Levy writes, Mark Carney just appointed a morbidly obese woman to the position of president of the Public Health Agency of Canada. The new not-so-healthy health honcho, Nancy Hamzawi, will make $296,000 per year. So what qualifies this woman, by the way? I believe there was something in here I had. I mean, it's just prime Canada, by the way. Prime Canada. Hold on. Was it in here? Let's check. I did have her qualification. Here we go. All right. From Leonard Roxon. This was her employment history before being appointed as head of Public Health Agency. What the hell is wrong with Mark Carney and his inept Liberal Party? So let's see. 2022 to 2023, Assistant Deputy Minister, Health Products and Food Branch, Health Canada. 20 to 21, let's see. COVID Testing Secretariat, Health Canada. 2017, Environment and Climate Change Canada. Environment and Climate Change Canada, Environment and Climate Change Agriculture and Agri-Food, Environment and Climate Change, Environment, Climate Change, Environment, Climate Change, Canadian International Development Agency. So you can see here in 2020, they started moving her into some health stuff, health products and food branch. This just seems like, classic case of DEI and how easy it is to move around once you're in. Just hop around, not educated for anything, but you are DEI. So we know that Mark Carney is full woke. He told us he wants to preserve diversity in Canada and in his government. So this is how you get a morbidly obese woman being the president of the Public Health Agency of Canada. She fills in the right checkboxes for a Liberal government, not the right ones to, I don't know, protect Canadians, right? for the, the well-being of Canadians, but for DEI, for diversity, for wokeness, right? She looks the part. So therefore, she's in. This is the state of Canada now. Personally, if you are going to be the head of the Public Health Agency of Canada, you should look healthy. You should actually be healthy. Like, this is equity, right? It would be inequitable to not give her the position because she doesn't know what she's doing. She's not qualified. And also, she's not even actually physically healthy. That would be inequitable. So this is equity, right? This is dysfunction. This is woke dysfunction. Reality doesn't matter. All that matters is perception and wokeness. Whatever feels progressive, that's what matters. And that's what happens. This is the state of Canada right now. In fact, she's a really good representation of the health of the country in every way. I'm talking about economically in every single way. She's actually perfect avatar for that. So what's going on here from Ryan Garrettson? Kingston site where inmates can use smuggled drugs under supervision has only seen one visitor. Lack of confidentiality, daytime operating hours, move to crystal meth cited as barriers. Well, I guess they're going to just have to work harder to make sure those inmates will go to the special drug room to use these smuggled drugs. This is also equity. This is equity. This is the state of Canada. Inmates can use, they have a special room where inmates can use drugs that were illegally smuggled into the prison. Illegal drugs. This is the state of Canada. This is equity. This is diversity. This is progressive. Canada is a far left, radical progressive country now. That is what Justin Trudeau has turned this country into. Right? In Justin Trudeau transformed the Liberal Party from a center-left party into a radical, illiberal, radical, progressive country. And that's why you end up with this. Things that are just unthinkable, that are so dysfunctional that it beggars belief. Things like they have a special site in prisons where inmates can use smuggled drugs under supervision. I mean, this is just unthinkably dysfunctional. This is insane. This is insane. You should not be able to, for one thing, smuggle drugs in. And when they catch somebody, when they find smuggled drugs, the inmate should be punished and the drugs should be confiscated and destroyed. That's what a sane society would do. An insane society, a radical progressive country, would set up a special site for them where they can use these smuggled drugs under supervision. This is insanity. This is total and complete insanity. But I guess I get there's probably a bunch of consultants working right now to figure out, well, I guess we'll have to maybe expand the operating hours of the site, and give the criminals more confidentiality and deal with this crystal meth thing. I'm just assuming that there are bureaucrats right now just trying to figure out how to more successfully get inmates to use smuggled drugs. Total lunacy. Let's see. So this might be the perfect symbol of woke Canadian dysfunction. I've been talking about woke dysfunction for a long time. Just that everything it touches, it makes dysfunctional. Whatever institution wokeness takes over, progressivism takes over, it no longer is about its original purpose. It's about spreading the mind virus. Nothing illustrates that better than this. Here from End Wokeness. Vancouver just renamed Trutch Street. That's a word you can say. Trutch Street to, let me reread that. Vancouver just renamed Trutch Street, and Trutch is a name you can say, to this, whatever that is, an unpronounceable string of letters. So they renamed a street that you can actually say the name quite easily to something that's unpronounceable to be inclusive. I'm not sure there's ever been another case. I'm not sure there's ever been a case of anything that illustrates woke dysfunction more than this, because having the street names be pronounceable and understandable is actually really important. Like if you're going to get something delivered to your house, if you're trying to navigate your way through the city, right? It makes it more difficult when the names are unpronounceable. And I mean, what language is this exactly? I mean, what's with the small W? Like, how is anybody supposed to know how to say this? What is that, a zero? What is that exactly? Like, all right, let's take a look.
Were forced to speak English. They were forced to do away with our language. And if we're walking reconciliation, we walk together.
The street formerly known as Trutch had been named after BC's first lieutenant governor, whose views and policies about First Nations people are now recognized as racist and wrong. The Musqueam have long been...
Let's look it up. Hold on. Let's do a fact check here. One second. Let's see. We're gonna grok this. Grok tends to be kind of woke and lean to woke descriptions of everything, but let's take a look. Joseph William Trutch was an English-born Canadian civil engineer, land surveyor, and politician who served as British Columbia's first lieutenant governor. The street in Vancouver's Kitsilano neighborhood, originally named Trutch Street, was named after him due to his significant role in the province's early colonial history. Trutch arrived in British Columbia in 1859 and became the Chief Commissioner of Land and Works in the 1860s. He played a key role in negotiating British Columbia's entry into the Canadian Confederation in 1871, so it seems like a fairly important figure. However, his legacy is deeply controversial due to his openly racist policies and actions towards Indigenous people. Let's see, as a colonial official, Trutch denied the existence of Indigenous land rights, reversed policies recognizing Aboriginal title, and significantly reduced the size of Indigenous reserves, often by as much as 91%, without consultation. He also expressed derogatory views. All right, so, okay. I mean, if we're going to judge everybody back then by modern standards, all right. But I think that, yeah, okay. So some of the things going on here, if true, yeah, like, okay, not great, right? Not super nice and empathetic, I think we could say. But it's still a part of history. He's still an important figure, and you know, it's at the end of the day, at this point, nobody actually knew who he was. I just had to look it up. And is it really worth it to rename a street? Right? You have to redo the maps, right? It's just going to cause dysfunction and problems. So is there really any point in it, considering that I mean, this feels like another example of they're just trying to find an injustice somewhere. Is it really an injustice to just have that guy's name on this street, where at this point it's totally disconnected from him and his history anyway? Nobody knows it. Is there really any benefit in that real world benefit? Like, who was really hurt? Was there anybody that was up at night worried about that street being named Trutch Street? I think nobody, right? This is an example of trying to turn over every stone, every rock, every pebble, every grain of sand to find the injustice that they must find, so that they can say, look at me, I'm fixing injustice. I'm a social justice warrior. We need to do this because people are in suffering or something, and even though they're not actually, but maybe they are, or somebody is, or somebody once did. We just have to do this because I've got to be able to post about it on social media.
Been troubled by having to look at it, and there was unanimous support at City Council to take it down. But what to replace it with?
Every symbol has a sound, and they're all sounded out.
Well, the English translation is Musqueam View. The new legal name of the street is written in characters from the North American phonetic alphabet, a system developed by linguists to express words from First Nation languages. Here's Mayor Sim having a go at it.
Today, we officially renamed Trutch Street to Shmukwim Awesome Street.
It's fine by me. It's progress. But
progress. Yeah, this is why Carney got elected. That's why this guy is why Carney got elected. It's just dysfunction. It's just stupid. It's just empty. It's just more empty virtue signaling. All right. Let's see. Canada's York Regional Police are back with Retardation Act 2. Notice that when the drag acts come out, all the diversity disappears, and it's only white beta males who are left pretending to enjoy this because they have zero self-respect for whatever is left of their culture. Anyway, we're not even going to watch that. Just fuck it. Let's see. What do we got here? Oh, this is beautiful. Ontario ends legal battle to avoid covering surgery for non-binary resident who wants a vagina while keeping a penis. I made a video on this. Well, what was it, a couple of years ago? This has been going on for a while. So Ontario ends legal battle to avoid covering surgery for resident who wants a vagina while keeping a penis, because this is important. Ontario's decided not to seek leave of appeal. Ontario has decided not to seek leave to appeal a lower court's ruling ordering it to cover a bottom surgery for a non-binary resident. Now, I'm of the opinion that the non-binary stuff is bullshit and it's not real, and it's all the result of an absurd redefinition of the word gender into something just metaphysical, just an infinite series of abstractions, totally devoid or totally divorced from reality. This is Canada. So the Ontario government is being forced to give a man a vagina, a special surgery so that he can keep his wiener, but also get a vagina so that he can do unholy things, I guess. So he can do the most grossest, degenerate things imaginable. And Ontarians have to pay for that. So that's Canada for you, folks. That's Canada. Don't be Canada. Whatever you do, don't be Canada. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So here's Pride in Canada. So people dressed up as animals, and there's the people dressed up as dogs. That seems to be a really popular thing now. People dress up. Yeah, so that's the new thing. So I guess gay pride was and lesbian pride, whatever, was too boring. So now it has to be people pretending to be dogs and doing gross things to each other. Pride. Because that's really important. Culturally, that's really important to Canada now. This is Canadian culture now. This. Also, just nudity. I don't understand where is the pride here exactly? Like what? These people, like, does that guy there say, yes, I'm very proud of what I'm doing. My whole family is so proud of me for dressing up like a dog and doing gross things to other men. Like, also that are also dressed as dogs. Like, my family is so proud of me for parading down the street like this. Like, really? Like, is this something to be proud of exactly? Like, you can do it, right? Like, but I'm not sure why we need like a public like, this is just fetish. These are just fetishes. Like, I don't see why we need to have fetish parades. Right? There are lots of people, including gay, lesbian people, who find all this very obscene and embarrassing, and they think that it puts them in a very bad light, and that don't want to be associated with all of this. Like, I'm just like, is this person's family super proud? Like, this is what they always dreamed. Or this guy, his family always dreamed he'd grow up to be somebody who walks out like almost, completely naked with a dog mask on. And by the way, people take their families to this stuff. Like, their kids see this stuff. Like, I'm not sure I get is the word pride still appropriate? Like this is what has become of the pride movement from millennial conservative men in pup play fetish gear making out in front of a group of Christian protesters at Toronto Pride. Like, this just seems to be completely destructive towards any kind of like useful culture or social cohesion. Like, where is the pride here exactly? Like, doing this in front of Christians, obviously to provoke the Christians, to offend the Christians, right? Like, you're grown men with bondage stuff on, wear dog masks, making out in front of Christians. And you're doing this in public. Like, I don't know. I mean, it just feels like the end of civilization. This feels like the end of the Roman Empire to me. Again, but where's the pride? Like, what is to be proud of in this? Right? Like, is this love? Is this love? It was supposed to be about love too, right? Let's see. Nudists take part in Toronto Pride Parade. One person carries a sign that says normalize nudity. Like, all these people lined up to witness this. Like, where, I don't understand. What's the pride? Like, what are they proud of? They're proud of walking down the street naked? I don't understand this. Why is this something that should be celebrated? I'm totally baffled at this point. This is not about rights anymore. This is about public fetishism. These are fetish parades at this point. I don't know. Let's see. All right. What are you guys saying? Let's see. Turtle says, just saw a parks worker up here with a mask on in his truck. I think I saw a couple of people with masks on while I was on the trip, actually, which is really weird. People are still doing it. Rosie says, yeah, Rachel Levine looks so healthy. She was, she was she was some high position. What was she? The Surgeon General or something like that? Let's see. Nevada says, what a bunch of retards. Rosie says, okay, so I want a tail like a squirrel and wings like a bird. Will Canada pay for that if I sue them? Apparently, yes. Yes. And multiple extra vaginas and penises as well. Nevada says they will probably throw in free cat whiskers for the delay. Well, it's Canada, right? Canada's got empathy. Canada's a compassionate country. That's why we pay for, that's why we give people operations so they can have both vaginas and penises, because we're compassionate and we're diverse, and diversity, all that diversity that Mark Carney wants to preserve. Rosie said, there are children on the side. Yes, people actually take their children to the fetish parades. It's bizarre. Nevada says, proud to be idiots. Rosie says, yes, fetishes and poor hygiene. Nevada said, head of HHS. So, Rachel Levine. Who's, some people call Rachel Levine Richard Levine. Richard Levine. That's the thing that some people say. What's going on here? Johnny Midnight. What are we, 2 hours and 30 minutes in? Wow, crazy. I wonder if I can do another ad. Wonder if they'll let me do that. That'd be pretty fun if they did, wouldn't it? Be pretty awesome. Let's see. Ooh, this sponsorship is from Rumble, one that is incredibly important to the survival of the company. When Rumble first started in 2013, they built the platform for the small creator. They didn't censor or have biases. They were fair and treated all creators equally. No one thought platforms would censor political conversation or censor opinions on the jab, but they did. Facebook admitted they fell to pressure from the Biden and Harris communist administration. One moment. Frog in my throat. It's not Rumble's fault. Rumble did not. They held the line. They are attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to you. They are attacked in corporate media. They are attacked by dirty, filthy commies. They are attacked by governments like France. They are attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them because they're woke retards is why. Corporate America is fighting to remove speech. Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers. They don't get much of it. It's because of wokeness, woke dysfunction. Watching our show on Rumble is the most they can ask from you. But if you really believe in this fight, and if you have the means, one major way you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium, just like I did. And I'm telling you right now, it was the happiest moment of my life when I did. Join the community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human right to free speech. It's the most important right, people, and Rumble is right there for you. Rumble is offering $10 off with the promo code STUDIO. You need to remember that code STUDIO when you purchase an annual subscription. Go to rumble.com/premium and use promo code STUDIO. You're going to need to remember that promo code STUDIO to get your $10 off. Like I said, if you have the means and believe in the cause, and if you're not a dirty, filthy commie, now's the time to join Rumble Premium. If you don't have the means, we're just happy if you watch us on Rumble. But you know what to do. All right. I forgot to, Denny Rengus says Happy Canada Day to you and your family. I forgot to say Happy Canada Day at the beginning. I kept saying, remember to say Happy Canada Day, and I forgot to say it. Happy Canada Day to everybody in Canada right now. All right. All right. What's going on here? From Johnny Midnight. Democrats plan a nationwide sick day to stop working, spending, and producing in protest. I wonder if anybody will notice. Let's see. It's probably like 99% like government bureaucrats.
What if millions of us stopped working, stopped spending, and stopped producing all at the same time? There's a movement brewing. It's called the People's Sick Day, and what it is a 3-day economic blackout. That means no work, no shopping, no production, just pause. 3 days where we remind the system that without us, nothing moves.
The system. Does she just mean capitalism? Is that what they mean by the system? It's one of those words lefties have been using for decades without really knowing what it means. Just this system. What is this system? Right? I think just when they say the system, they just mean I want more money for my job, for whatever job I'm doing. I think I should make more because I work for a big company. And surely they have enough money to just give me more just because I want it. Right? That's the system. The system's keeping me down.
But here's the twist. We're not giving out the dates until 48 hours before because we don't want to give the corporations time to plan and stop us from having this happen. Because let's be honest, if they knew what we were planning, they'd shut it down before it even started. This isn't a protest. This is a strategic disruption to the machine that feeds off of our hard work and labor.
The machine that feeds off her hard work and labor. And she gets nothing in return. She looks like she's doing just fine, by the way. Looks like maybe she is getting something in return. Why does she sound like a Bolshevik? Why does this woman sound like a Bolshevik? I mean, maybe she should read up on it a little bit. Maybe decide if that's what she really wants after all. Maybe she's actually better off now. Maybe these evil corporations aren't quite so evil as she thinks.
Labor. If you want to be a part of it, go to thepeoplesickday.com, join the Discord, and join the movement. This is how we stand up against what is happening in our country. We need to shut it down.
What is happening in the country? So she enters into a contract, a voluntary contract, whereby she provides a service and she gets paid for it. Or as it's known, the system, the machine. Well, you don't think communism's a fucking machine? You don't think central planning is a machine? You know, in the Soviet Union, it was a felony to not show up for work, right? The level of stupidity from these people. I mean, it's baffling to me. The machine.
We need to shut it down. So go to thepeoplesickday.com, sign.
Shut up, Commie. Commie gets nothing. I mean, it's like satire. It's like satire. Let me tell you something. You weren't cut out for communism, lady. All right? Because nobody is. Elise Wood, good to see ya. Says America's coming back. I hope Canadians can overcome this nightmare. Well, we'll have to see. Canada might just be San Francisco now. It might just be New York City. You know, it's just that there's been no real conservative pushback, including from the Conservative Party of Canada, for years. And the media has been no serious pushback. The TV news is all pretty uniform here. It's just this kind of steady drip, 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 drip of framing, constant framing of, positive towards progressivism, negative towards anything that just sounds conservative, unless Mark Carney decides to steal it from the conservatives, in which case all of a sudden it's a great thing now. But just the name, just that label, conservative, that steady drip, 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 year after year, month after month, week after week, day after day, hour after hour, second after second of negative framing, just this manipulation. It seems to have, maybe it's just baked in now. Maybe Canada is just San Francisco. Maybe it's just New York. Maybe it's just LA now. Maybe that's just what it is. I don't know. I mean, I'm not black-pilled. I think we can turn it around. But maybe not. I mean, that's a possibility. It might just be that sane people just have to leave the country eventually. Because Canada absolutely can turn into Venezuela. All right. Anyway, this dingbat, this goof, I mean, she's talking like a damn Bolshevik. I mean, she looks like she's doing just fine. She has no idea what she wants to unleash on the world. On herself, on her family, on her friends. She has no idea what she wants to unleash. From the Babylon Bee, Pride Parade followed closely by Disinfectant Parade. That's a good one. Let's see. From Laura Loomer, jihadist New York City mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani attends New York City queer liberation march that turned into an anti-American demon march. Anti-American demon march. Well, I mean, this is the thing, is that these marches are they're political rallies now, right? So the LGB has been totally co-opted. What the gay rights movement used to be has been completely co-opted once they got what they wanted, by the way, right? Once the train got to the station, it didn't stop, it just kept going, and it was taken over, and it's just used now as for political purposes. It's now a political movement, a socialist, a Marxist movement. It's been co-opted by race Marxists, essentially identity Marxists. So it's just a tool now. It's a tool to destroy the West, because this happens in every Western country. No gay liberation without abolition. What does that even mean? Is that it's dikes against deportation there? So what, abolition of ICE or the police or whatever? Like that this doesn't make any sense. For one thing, gay people are liberated now. Gay people now have the same rights as anybody else. That was the purpose. That's done, right? Train got to the station and it didn't stop. It just kept going, and now it's going off a Marxist cliff. What does that even? None of this has to mean anything. It just has to feel progressive, right? It just has to feel like something. So when this person posts their selfie on social media, which is the only reason they're there, by the way, is to post a selfie on social media. But so when other people in the same radical far left Marxist bubble see the photo, they will approve of it and they will give a thumbs up. That's the whole purpose of it. Doesn't have to make any sense. Like, this is totally incoherent. It's just babble, right? But it doesn't need to be more than that. It's just all performance. Trans people aren't going anywhere. Nobody's asking them to go anywhere. They're asking them not to block the street, maybe, right? They're asking them to not tell 5-year-olds that they're born in the wrong body, right? But again, this is just performance. Oh, there you got the boomers, of course, because they have to be in it. There you go. Fuck ICE. Sure. This says, thank God for abortion. So obviously that is trying to insult Christians, obviously. But what a thing, like, I think, of course, these will all be people that will be in favor of no restrictions whatsoever. So right up until the moment of birth, it's only a matter of time until one of these states or a city decides they're going to legalize abortion after birth for any reason with no restrictions. It'll start out with, the first week or something, right? You can change your mind. But I just think it's a weird thing, a weird hill to die on, right? Like a very macabre thing, right? A very kind of, I don't know, soulless or kind of evil thing, right? Like they're not talking about, I think it's like 12 weeks in Europe is the standard, right? These people will all be like, nope, right up until the moment of birth. I just think it's a weird, gross. I wonder if any of them on their, when they get old or on their deathbed or something, go, ugh, God, I feel dirty. Oh, I feel gross. What a gross thing that I advocated for. What a gross thing that I was an activist for. Ugh, what a horrible thing. Why was I so barbaric with my values? Why were my values so degenerate? Let's continue. Oh yeah, Trump, go away, they were chanting. It's all just politics. It's been hijacked by Marxists. Let's see. Well, he's an Islamist, so if he ever gets his way, this ain't going to be happening anymore. He's happy to use it now. He sees it as a useful political tool. It basically equates to political power to achieve his ends. But if he's genuinely an Islamist, he wants Sharia, which means none of this is going to be happening. And there's a lot of these people are going to be receiving very bad endings. Very bad endings. What's this one? Elon derangement syndrome is still going strong. He's living in their heads rent free. Let's take a look.
So I'm really proud of this piece. $126 pieces, 12 by 12. 1 week of work. Fuck you, Elon.
Just weird, right? Just weird. No. The dead people must stay on the Social Security rolls. They must. The dead people must continue to get money, or somebody should get money. I find it totally bizarre. I mean, it's like always the dead eyes too. The dead eyes too. These are upright people. I went to a garage sale while I was on vacation. And I immediately didn't like the guy who's doing the garage sale because he decided that, and I didn't see anybody buy anything, but everything was insanely overpriced. He had this old, 4-decade-old blender for like $25. It's like, there's one thing I asked him, I said, how much is this? He goes, oh, you're not going to like it. And of course it was like totally overpriced. And I said another thing, which was like $5. It'd be like $3 at a normal garage sale. How much is this? Oh, you're not going to like it. Just tell me the price. $100. It's from the 1800s. Like, yeah, this thing is not from the 1800s. It says China on the bottom. No. But I kept looking at a little bit of stuff, and all of a sudden I heard him going on. I guess somebody was looking at a Wayne Gretzky hockey card. And the guy starts going, Wayne Greasy, calling him Wayne Greasy. And he's a Trumper. He's a Trumper. He's a Trumper. Right? Wayne Greasy's a Trumper. And I just was standing there. I thought, well, I already wasn't going to buy anything from you. Now I'm definitely not going to buy anything from you. Could you sound like any more of a moron? Can you sound like any more of a programmed moron? Could you sound any more like, the human embodiment of Rosemary Barton's teleprompter? Like, he's a Trumper. He's a Trumper. Well, I call him Wayne Greasy now. I call him Wayne Greasy because he's a Trumper. He's a Trumper. Oh, shut up. What an embarrassment to the country. What a pathetic embarrassment to the country. Oh. It actually made me angry for hours. It's just the level of stupidity, right? Like, Wayne Gretzky's been friends with Trump for decades, right? It's not like he was out traveling the country with Trump, making speeches, telling people to vote for Trump. He's a friend of Trump's. He's a Trumper. He's a Trumper. Oh, it's depressing. It's just depressing. This is just one of these people who they believe everything that TV says. This is why Mark Carney, he's the reason Mark Carney got elected. Wayne Greasy, he's a Trumper. He's a Trumper. Ugh, shut up. Shut up. It's depressing that that's apparently the majority in Canada. Just one of the, social engineers would just look at him and just sit back and just smile at a job well done. Just any propagandist would just smile and go, you know what? I made a difference today. That guy's dumb as a fucking doorknob because of me. I made a difference. I really made a difference. I mean, if I keep this up, Canada will be ruined in, I thought 10 years. It'll be just a couple of years. Well, before we've completely destroyed the country. Say it again, friend. Say it again. Wayne Greasy. He's a Trumper. You fucking retard. You know what I forgot to do? Because it was my I forgot to put the chat on the screen. I'll do it now. God damn it. I like to have the chat on the screen. Somebody should have told me. Somebody probably did, and I missed it in the chat. Rosie says, but if what you say about Canadians is true, that they do not know Canadian politics, imagine how much less they know about U.S. government. Oh, yeah, they know nothing. Nevada says clueless, completely clueless. I guarantee you, probably 98%, maybe I'll be generous, 97% of the people who voted for Carney could not name one bill. And I'm going to guess it was 99.9% of Carney voters who've ever read any one word of any bill. I guarantee you 97% of Carney voters had no idea of his past, of his record in the UK, but they know that he was, the head of the Bank of England. That's as far as it goes. Mainstream media in Canada made sure of that, made sure they didn't get any actual details. There's no talk about inflation and money printing, any of that, because that would have been counterproductive to their goal of getting him elected so he could give them a raise, which he publicly stated he was going to do. I mean, just think about that. You've got a candidate saying that he's going to give an extra $150 million to the state broadcaster who is covering the election, while the other candidate, Pierre Poilievre, is saying he's going to defund them. Just think about that. How is that even legal? I mean, how much more corrupt do you have to get? Rosie says she will sell it, but capitalism is bad. Exactly. Rosie says she spent 1 week on something she hates. Nevada says she's a retard. Yep. Hoping to make money off other retards. Yes, indeed. Let's see. Elise Wood says Vancouver certainly is just San Francisco, Portland, Seattle. Yep. Mickey, and they talk about themselves. Their mothers should have done it. I can't remember what we're talking about there. Oh, you're talking about the abortion people. Are they talking about themselves? Well, I'm sure they're happy they're alive, or maybe they aren't. Maybe that's why they worship abortion so much. Maybe they wish they'd never been born. Let's see. Elise Wood says, imagine that cutie in Trotsky's workhouse. They have no idea what they want, what they're asking for. I mean, you're talking about where was she? This one here. She's not going to do well after the Bolshevik seizure of power. She's not made for it. Let's see. All right, let's keep going. We got anything else in Woke Mind Virus? We haven't seen. Introducing the new vice chair for finance of Texas Democrats, Colby Duhan. Yeah, this is how they're going to get the male vote back. This is how the Democrats are going to get young men back with Colby Duhan. Is it? I'm guessing probably a trans man. I'm guessing. Yeah. Anyway, we did cover that in the last time. Let's move on. So the world is healing a little bit. The United States is healing anyway. Andy No posted this. Following a civil rights investigation by the Trump administration, UPenn has agreed to only allow females to play on women's sports teams. The Ivy League university will also apologize and restore titles to women whose records were taken by men like Leah Thomas. Look at that dainty flower. So that's just sanity. That's just sanity. It's one of those innumerable things where you go, how is this real? How is it? How are people justifying biological men like beating up women in boxing, or like this like 6'3" dude with the shoulders that are 6 feet wide swimming against girls? Like, obviously it makes no sense. It's obviously ridiculous. There's obviously a massive advantage. How can the world have gotten to this place? How can whatever country you're in have gotten to this place where there is something that is just so clearly absurd? It should only exist in satire, right? Like Loretta in Monty Python's Life of Brian just should have been the end of it, right? After that, it was very funny. They were making fun of, I guess, extreme leftism at the time. And yeah, that should have just been the end of it after that. That should just have been referred to. And when the gender activists, the absurd redefinition of gender into this metaphysical world, into this infinite series of abstractions, just immediately when that first started, immediately everybody should just have been referred to the Loretta scene in Monty Python's Life of Brian, and that just should have been the end of it. In a sane world, that's what would have happened. What would you place in the raised area? I said it earlier tonight. This would be the place where I would stand to rant about politics to anybody who had the misfortune of coming into my house. Right there is where I would do it. And it would be loud. The General Lee jumped the fountain today in Somerset, so this is just fun. So that's the Dukes of Hazzard car. I used to love that show when I was a kid. So that's super awesome. That's way better than having a vagina and a penis. That's way better than having the Ontario government have to pay for you to have a vagina and a penis. Way better. Nobody's going to complain about that. You don't need any courts, lawyers, any of that, judges. Let's see. Enjoy old people now, because the old people 50 years from now are going to be the worst. Well, let's take a look.
Get to know the old people, man. Because the new old people that are coming are going to be the worst old people we've ever had. We got some terrible old people coming, man. 50 years from now? Old people now still have stories. You ever sit with an old person and look at their photos? Every photo's got a story. What's this, Grandma? Here is a picture of your great-grandfather standing beside Charles Lindbergh before he flew across the Atlantic. First ever transatlantic flight in history. That's an amazing story. Can you imagine listening to the stories of old people's photos 50 years from now? How terrible that experience is going to be? What's this, Grandma? Here is a picture of my breakfast. What? What a breakfast. And here are some shoes I once thought about buying. And here is the wing of a plane. And here is the weather forecast. Here is a picture of your great-grandmother staring at herself in the bathroom mirror. And here are 12 more of that exact same photo. Look!
Yeah, that's basically it. That's basically it. All right. Next level bird watching. So these are what we call palate cleansers. After all that horrible politics, let's take a look. Well, that's pretty cool, actually. I kind of like that. And if your country becomes communist, you can use that to catch some birds to make a nice soup out of. That's before the commissars come to take them for the state. So, for the proletariat. All right, let's move on. From Jason Patterson, Alan West. Muslims living in the West have a mandate by the Quran to take control of countries, states, and nations, first by political elections and then by force. It's saying Islam can't coexist with democracy. Well, what a lot of people don't understand is that Islam is as much a political system as it is a religious system. It's totally, there's no division of church and state. In fact, that's prohibited in Islam. Like, state has to be church. It has to be Islam. That's why they all have, all the Islamic states are all Sharia or some are close enough to it. You know, again, there's a fundamental difference with Christianity. You know, there's no give unto God what is God's, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. There's none of that. It's a full-on prescription for everything, including government. So let's take a look here.
We've got to start shutting them down. We cannot allow them to come into our country and proselytize in their mosques, talking about overthrowing our government, our constitutional democracy, saying they want to replace it with Sharia. And then we say, well, that's okay. That's freedom of speech. That's freedom of religion. That's not. It's sedition. So we've got to understand that this battlefield is just not overseas. This battlefield is here.
That's really the essence of dismantling the system of injustice, is to replace it with the people who represent the Prophet ﷺ.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands us to change and replace this system. Islam is jihad.
When it comes to spreading Islam on a state level, on a societal level, that method prescribed is jihad. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed that the ones who don't accept the ruling of Islam, they must be fought. This is simply the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Using a protest to overthrow a non-Muslim government in a non-Muslim country.
For us Muslims living in the West,
Yes.
our jihad is to establish the deen of Allah through all means necessary.
Yeah, I mean, look, a country is the people in the country, right? And the culture is the people in the country. And if any country becomes majority Muslim, they will vote in an Islamic government. And whatever the laws were before, whatever the customs were before, the traditions, they all go. Right? You will live in a Sharia state. That will happen. That is what always happens. So, that's something to be mindful. Culture matters. Cultures are different. They're not all the same. And from my perspective, they're not all as good. I like Western civilization, or at least what it used to be, and I'd like to see a resurgence of that. I think you're seeing that with Trump in the United States. A return to kind of rational, American values. But yeah, I mean, this lie, there's just been this lie pushed on us by the left for decades and decades that everybody's the same. Everybody wants the same things. No, culture matters. Culture is really the only thing that matters, right? And your country is the people that are in the country. And, if you have a separate culture and a separate set of values in your country, and that becomes the dominant culture, well, you're that now. You're going to be that now. So, yeah, wake up. Wake up. Let's see. This retard tried to rob a gun store with a baseball bat. This is from Retard Finder. A gun store with a baseball bat. Well, that's not very bright, is it? How would you describe this look? I don't know. Like face stretch or something, or stretch face, or kind of, I don't know. Let's hear.
You look amazing. What are all the procedures you've had done?
Okay, Bobby, let's start from the top. See? Lip fillers, nose job.
Looks like somebody attached like a winch to her nose and then just like revved it. I don't know. It's too much. I will say that.
You've had done.
Okay, Bobby, let's start from the top. See?
Why would you have that done to your nose? I'm not understanding that. I mean, the lips, I mean, the whole thing is just wrong, right? I mean, I got to say, great rack. But the rest of it, I can't help but thinking this person wouldn't have looked better without that, all of this. And the nose, I don't understand what's happening with the nose there. Why? You can't, you go in for the plastic surgery, you look in the mirror afterwards, and how do you say, yeah, it came out perfect? It looks like something horrible happened to my face. Exactly what I wanted. Weird. Rosie says, I would describe it expensive. I'm saying not a great use of money. Ottawa James, good to see you. Let's see. Yes, happy Canada Day to you as well. Nevada says, why not just put a camera on the bird feeder? Well, then the birds aren't on your face, and everybody loves having birds on their face. Come on. Let's see. Rosie says, because then you do not get to wear a cool blanket costume. True. Let's see. Ottawa says, yeah, that face. What the fuck? What the fuck? Mickey says, fake rack. Fake rack. I'm guessing it's also a fake rack. I would. But I mean, I don't hate it. I got to be honest with you. I don't hate the rack. Let's see. Nevada says, what the hell is that? Oh, I think I know where you're getting at with this. Hold on.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
That's somebody who's had a bunch of really bad plastic surgery. Terrible plastic surgery. Totally ruins the rack. All right. What's going on here? From Vince Langman. The New York Mets have now lost 7 straight games since they flew the pride flag during the national anthem. Everything woke turns to what?
Everything woke turns to shit.
It sure does. So there you have it. They tempted fate. They angered God. Now they're suffering the consequences. Why bother anymore? I think Rosie sent this one. One of my favorites, Are You a Democrat? Who sent this one? I can't remember who sent this one. Let's take a look.
Hey, shh. It's okay. It's okay. Take a deep breath. You had a surgery. You've been under anesthesia, but you're okay. We're gonna get you out of here. What's going on? Well, you had an event, and we had to operate, but you're gonna be okay. Why is my rear end killing me? We had to perform an emergency intracranial rectal removal, and the worst part is this has been happening a lot. This is the second time you've been in the hospital because your head has been up your ass. I need to ask you something. Are you a Democrat?
Yeah, of course I am.
Okay.
I was in the union about 20 years ago.
Okay. Oh, slow down. We don't want that head to go back up there. All right? This happens a lot with liberals. Your beliefs and the way you vote affects the way your head relates with your butthole. And it'll just go right up there and it'll block reality.
But we gotta be loyal and remember.
Whoa. Shush. It'll happen right as I'm sitting here. It's not pleasant to watch. So I want you to take a look at this. That is the Constitution. Oh. Now look at it, read it, and that's going to affect the way you see the world. Welcome aboard. I'm also going to write you a prescription for a couple of old Ronald Reagan speeches.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Pretty good.
It's okay. Take it deep.
Let's see. Rosie says, my husband said, thank you very much. That's a good one. Let's see. Don't think this will work. Let's see. Montana, great news legislative update. Montana passes HB 350 declaring UN, WHO, and the WEF have no jurisdiction in the state. A victory for liberty. Congratulations. Your efforts to defend our Constitution have succeeded. Well, you know, it all helps. Every little bit helps, doesn't it? When you're trying to not turn into 1984. Let's see. Declaration of memes. America should take note. We are on the path to ruin. So, Students for Liberty. Be Argentina. Try all kinds of socialism. Become the first nation to stop being rich and go back to the third world. Elect the crazy libertarian promising chainsaw public spending. Immediately start growing faster than China. So there you go. Argentina outgrows China. 5.8% annual growth beats China's 5.4% in the first quarter. And he brought inflation way down to normal levels, like immediately, actually. So, yeah, I like Canada. Can we do this? Can we be like Argentina, please? The problem is these kinds of leaders, they're so rare. You know, I mean, the most notable kind of really iconic transformational leader is obviously Trump. But for Argentina, it's him, right? And these guys, they're just rare. They're just very, very rare. They're singular figures. We need one in Canada. What's this? David Wolf posted this. National Review. In Germany, you must be fully vaxxed before your death by assisted suicide. Germany. I don't find it surprising. Just weird. Let's see. Billy Binion. Show this video to Zoran. You know what? Show it to the people that voted for him or the people that are going to vote for him to be the mayor of New York City. A Cuban seeing Costco for the first time gets emotional witnessing the sheer abundance. Yeah. Because it's not like people in the West have no perspective and they have absolutely no idea what life is like and the kind of want that exists in really socialist countries, right? I'm not talking about Sweden or Denmark. They're not really socialist countries. They're capitalist countries. But let's take a look.
Cierra los ojos. Cierra los ojos.
Yo me puedo llevar eso para la casa.
Nadie te va a preguntar de dónde lo conseguí. Nadie va. Tú solo.
Con esto puedo hacer ejercicio.
See, for Western socialists, that's just normal. This is just what they grew up. This is what they've seen their entire life. This kind of abundance they've seen their entire lives. They think that it will still exist in, a centrally planned communist state.
Mira la gente aquí como se va. Yo no puedo leche carne. Demasiado, mija, demasiado.
Manzana.
Qué rico hacer. Que los papeles míos de la entrada aquí me decían que yo era un alienígena. Y yo ahora veo esto y yo digo, es que soy un alienígena. ¿Tú nunca crees?
See that? He said, now that I see this, I am an alien from another planet. See, in communist countries, in real socialist countries, this kind of abundance only exists in little Potemkin villages, right? Propaganda, little propaganda shows for foreign press. They don't exist for actual people. He's saying he's like an alien from another planet seeing this. And there are people, stupid people with no perspective who understand nothing, who are totally historically illiterate. In fact, totally illiterate on geopolitical realities today, right? Who have just no idea what they're asking for, no idea what they want, what they're going to get if they get what they think that they want.
Es que soy un alienígena. Tú nunca crees que vas a llegar a esto. Tú nunca crees que vas a llegar a esto. Hasta que llegas, pones el pito y dices, es real, ¿viste? Porque a lo mejor son como amistad mía o algo así. Pero a uno le da sentimiento a esas cosas, ¿viste? Porque es fuerte, ¿viste? Es fuerte.
¿Te gustó?
Que si me gustó.
Wow, like there's a much better standard of living. This is a lot better than the bread lines he was standing in before, right? Let's see, who would have guessed that productive countries with productive economic systems would be better? Far better. Almost like an alien planet to somebody who has not had that privilege and benefit. Let's see. Border Patrol agents shut down a massive 3,000-foot drug smuggling tunnel between Tijuana, Mexico, and San Diego, equipped with lighting, ventilation systems, and tracks to move narcotics. The agents discovered the tunnel in early April while it was actively under construction. The tunnel had a projected exit point near or inside a commercial warehouse space in San Diego. They've been using this for years. They'll be doing more of them now that the border is much, much more secure than it was, incomparably more secure than it was under Biden. They'll be doing this a lot. They've got those bunker busters. I wonder how those would work on these things. What do we got next? So, let's see. Jen posted this. Tijuana, Mexico. Our southern neighbors seem to be hypocritical when it comes to immigration. The locals are holding signs to stop the invasion and surrounding detention camps. MSM won't show this impediment to the narrative. Yes, that's the thing. Other countries actually deport people in their countries illegally. Mexico citizens are protesting in Tijuana and around Mexico against their illegal immigrants. It's not a popular thing. It's a fiction sold to Westerners by their media.
While everyone's attention has been on the Los Angeles riots and every other riot in the United States, do you know what's happening in Mexico? Oh, you haven't heard that Mexico is protesting against their illegal immigrants? Even Mexican protesters are holding up signs that say, get rid of the invasion, stop the invasion, take the illegals back to their country. That's not all. Many of these illegal aliens showed up to Tapachula's migrant shelters. Many of them had visas, asylum claims, and CBP-1 appointments. But allegedly, during their routine sweeps in places like Tizayuca and Hidalgo, Mexican authorities would begin to round them up, Cubans, Haitians, Venezuelans, etc., detaining them for lacking proper entry approval. Oh, the level of hypocrisy of Mexico. They're not just throwing them into vans. They're filling up flights. They're putting them into cages. Even some videos circulating of these children and their parents claiming that the Mexican government is mistreating them behind closed doors, not feeding them, not giving them food, not giving them proper shelter. But here in America, we have it bad. Filling flights, many with asylum appointments or legal stays in Mexico, being deported back to Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua. And according to Cyber Cuba, many immigrants say that officials told them in Mexico, you're covered, you're allowed to stay here, only to detain them, fingerprint them, load them onto planes, sometimes even tying and gagging them like criminals. But hey, what's happening in the United States and Mexico's opinions about separating families and sending people back to their homeland? As long as the United States does it, it's bad. But if Mexico does it, it's okay. And none of the left-wing media will report on it because it messes with their narrative and it messes with what they want you and I to believe.
Well, none of that's surprising in the least bit, is it? None of that is surprising in the least bit. Rosie says, that is what got me when I returned from Spain. The abundance in everything in English. Spain was not socialist, but the abundance was very curtailed, and I spoke Spanish, was very glad to be home. Well, Spain has been, after Franco became very socialist, and I believe they have a full-on socialist government right now. when I was there 10 years ago or something. It's clearly a poor country by comparison to the United States or Canada. And you talk about abundance. Yeah, you just simply don't have the same choices there. Everything is lower grade. You don't have like big suburbs. Everybody lives in apartments. Big families live in apartments there. Very few people have like a detached house. And yeah, you just don't have the choice. Everything is kind of crappy. The internet is bad everywhere. The food largely is bad and boring. You can find some good meals there, but no, I mean, one thing when I got home, it was just the abundance and the choice of different foods you could have, and it's good. Like everywhere is at least good, right? Like a lot of people come back from Spain and they go to the tourist places and they talk about, oh, the food was wonderful. No, it wasn't. They're lying. They're just saying it because they're supposed to think that, because everything foreign is supposed to be better for some reason. Different world. Let's see. Ottawa said, way to go, Montana. Yep. Every bit helps. Let's see. Ottawa says, yeah, they have a socialist government. Yeah, they do now. Let's see. But yeah, when I was in Spain too, the youth unemployment was like 25%, something like that. Like it's just a poor place. Breitbart News. The Oregon State Legislature opens its session with a drag show for Pride Month. Why? Like this guy really, like, what happened? What happened exactly? Let's take a look.
The opening ceremony today will be presented by Isaiah Esquire and Aquaflora, performing I Was Here by Beyonce and A Deeper Love by Aretha Franklin for Pride Month. They are from Portland and are guests of Representative Nelson. Welcome.
What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this?
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
I mean, this is like an official state house. There's supposed to be some decorum. There's supposed to be dignity. There's supposed to be some level of seriousness. Like, what is this? What is this as an alternate reality? How can anybody take this seriously? How could people take their own local government seriously? What is this? This is in Portland, of course. How could anybody take their elected officials seriously when this is what's happening? In places that are supposed to be, hallowed to some extent, right? It's supposed to be where serious business takes place, the business of the people. I mean, what? What? I mean, what are these people thinking? I mean, what is the purpose of this? What does this bring? What does this add? Like, how does this help Portland exactly? I mean, it's performative, it's virtue signaling. It's not serious. It's just, I get it, like, fall of the Roman Empire. Can we say that? It's just, you know what it is? It's just asinine. It's silly. It's Monty Python, but in real life. This is the death of satire. What is this? Why? What useful purpose does that serve? Nothing. No one does cringe like the American Democrat from tugging my groin. America First Voice, unbelievable. Oregon state legislature opened its session with a drag show for Pride Month. This isn't governance, it's a woke circus. While real Americans face economic hardship and border crisis, these clowns are pushing radical gender ideology in our halls of power. Well, so obviously, there's a great deal of wokeness happening in Oregon. And as we've said many times, this just leads to woke dysfunction. And that's what happens when whatever institution that's been infested by the mind virus, whatever institution it is, it ceases to function at its original purpose. And it just becomes about spreading the mind virus to more vulnerable minds, to more weak minds, who can then spread it to others. And I think that's a great example of this here. There is no useful purpose in state governance for this, right? None whatsoever. This is about the mind virus. This is the the brain infection at work, trying to propagate itself and spread itself to ever more vulnerable, weak minds. All right. The trials and tribulations of the home delivery driver. Okay, this is going to be good. Let's take a look. Oh, I've got to turn off the music. Hold on. Well, that was just a cat. Oh, well, there's a good boy. Wants to be friends. That's a squirrel. Oh, well, that's just nice. That's not a trial and tribulation right there. What's going on here? Well, there's a goat. I guess that'd be kind of weird. Oh no. What's that cat gonna do? I thought it was gonna jump on his face. Oh, that's just a rat. But that's just a happy dog. Ah, what a chicken. Oh geez. Okay. I mean, that's cause for concern right there. That's an angry dog. That's just a nice dog there. Oh, that's just a good boy right there. All right. What do we got next? So, I guess this is a little bit old now, June 11th. DNC members vote 294 to 99 to annul vice chair victory of David Hogg, citing diversity quotas. And he has nothing to complain about because he supports that, because he's a Democrat, right? If he is a Democrat, that means that he supports far left, radical, identitarian politics. He supports identity communism. If he's in the Democrat Party, he supports that. He has to support that, along with every other crazy fucking thing. Abortion right up until birth, sex changes for children, open borders. So obviously he has to support the decision because that is the party. Why be surprised? You certainly can't be surprised. Why would he even why would he even think that he would be appropriate for that position in the first place? Because to be in the party, he has to support the people that would boot him out for being the wrong gender and the wrong color. Because that is the Democrat Party now. That is every left-wing party in the Western world now. That is the Democrats. That is the Liberals in Canada. That's Labor. So none of it should come as a surprise. I mean, he has to support those things. He has to be supportive of getting kicked out for identity reasons, for being a white male. He has to. Otherwise, he wouldn't be a Democrat. You can't be a Democrat and not support that. So, yeah, there you go. Just desserts. G. Van Fleet says, white males are worthless to the Communist Democratic Party. He should know his place. Yes, Doodle Dad says, he was barely a male anyway, just an anemic-looking soy boy. Ooh. Yep, his virtue signaling just backfired in a big way. You are very generous with your definition of male. Well, he's a beta and liar, so they thought he'd fit in. Let's see. All right. Yeah, so anyway, least surprising thing in the world. Like father, like son. Well, this is just a nice palate cleanser right here. Look at that puppy. And there's Dad. He's a chip off the old block. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree, does it? No, that's just nice. That's just nice. Let's see. And there's some wild boars. Those things are vicious, though. Those things can mess you up. But the baby ones are pretty cute, aren't they? Anyway, and I bet you they're delicious. All right, that's it, people. That is it. Let's go to women's sports. And let's see if we get a different one here. I like this one here. And then let's get to the chat and we'll wrap it up. We're 3 hours and 30 minutes in. All right. What have you guys been saying? Wonder if they'll let me do another ad read. Maybe. If you're looking for a great place online for news, discussion, and entertainment, then check out Truth Social, Donald Trump's social media website. You'll get breaking news stories and commentary from top media figures. If you want to see Trump's legendary Truth Social posts, then get on Truth Social today. Join a growing community of patriots on a free speech platform designed to avoid censorship and cancellation by big tech. Make your voice heard. Join the movement. Join Truth Social. You could even be a commie, but I got to warn you, you're going to do nothing but cry. There we go. There we go. Subscribe to the channel. Like the stream. Get free karma. Free good karma. Become a channel member. Buy gift memberships for other people in the chat right now. Do these things. Let's see. What do we got going on? Let's get to the chat. Izzy, how you doing? Good to see you. You're late tonight. You're late. We're just about to wrap it up. But good evening. Nevada said, batshit crazy, LOL cloud show. Are we talking about Portland there in the state legislature with the drag thing for some reason? Let's see. Rosie says, I like the kimono, but if my husband wore it, we would be getting him help. That would be very understandable. I would understand your concern. Mickey says, or a divorce. Rosie says, yep, maybe that too. But I did say in sickness, and if he ever wears white lipstick. Dear. Kaftan is the way to go. Do the way the kaftans are very comfortable. Arab men wear them because they live in a hot place. Very comfortable. Let's see. Izzy says the clown show of politics taken to its natural extremes. Well, it's the clown show of progressive politics, of progressive ideology taken to its natural extremes. That's not even anywhere close to the natural extremes. The natural extremes are like the Holodomor, right? Like the natural extremes are, Mao saying to kill all the sparrows, and then there being a the crops being destroyed by insects, and 5 million people starving to death. Those are the actual extremes. Rosie says, barely a male. I think you're talking about what's his name? What was his name again? Forget. It's getting late in the stream now. Now I'm getting tired. Where was he? Where was that goofball? Hold on. He's down here at the bottom. I can't remember. It was David Hogg, wasn't it? I don't know. My brain is starting to freeze up. Let's see. Rosie says, funny dogs. They are funny. Rosie gives the Truth Social ad a 10 out of 10. Well, thank you very much. Nevada said, good ad. Thank you very much. Nevada says, glad you're back, Richie. Good show. Well, thank you very much. You guys have been awesome, too. We need more likes, as he says. We need more likes. Do it now. Do it now. Lisa Wood says, happy Canada Day, friends. See you later. See you later. Hopefully we'll see you on Friday. All right. David Hogg. That's right. That's right. All right. Well, that's it. I guess we're done. So that was my first show back. I feel like I struggled a little bit after not doing a show for 10 days. It's amazing how quickly you kind of get out of the groove of it. I forgot to get to set the studio so that the chat would be up on the screen, which is dumb because I like having the chat up on the screen. I think that's great. But that's it, I guess. So Friday, 7:30 Pacific time, 10:30 Eastern time, we will be back. We're going to have a great time as always. I want to thank the chat. You guys were awesome tonight, in very good form. You guys are basically half the show now. I don't know what I would do without you. Actually, I do know what I would do. I would not do live streams because it would be boring and depressing. But because you guys are here, it is not. It makes it fun. And it doesn't feel like I am just ranting to a cold and different universe. So thank you for that. And I hope to see everybody on Friday. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for waiting around for me. Thanks for coming back to the show after the long break. And hopefully I will see everybody on Friday. Good night, everybody.